he discovered a book called The Turner Diaries, written by a racist named William Pierce. It was a fictional account of a group of patriots that came together in a very small number, much like what Bob was planning to do, and overthrow the United States government. And as Bob read this, he thought, this is us. This is the plan we need to follow.
Unit 8 will secure a large quantity of explosives, between 5 and 10 tons. We will then drive into the FBI building's freight receiving area, set the fuse, and leave the truck.
The Turner Diaries culminates with these anti-government resistors blowing up the FBI headquarters in Washington, D.C. It had this electrifying, energizing effect on all kinds of people in the radical right.
And he also becomes very influenced by the Turner Diaries. He becomes just gripped by this novel.
He was really interested in this character, Earl Turner, and his anti-government views, and his feeling that you needed to take drastic action to make the government take notice.
My day's work started a little before 5 o'clock yesterday, when I began helping Ed Sanders mix heating oil with the ammonium nitrate fertilizer in Unit 8's garage.
Tim McVeigh had read in the Turner Diaries of how generally you could build a truck bomb. He found other articles that told him exactly how to build a truck bomb. He wanted to do what Earl Turner did, take down a government building.
And then Tim McVeigh manages to get some 55-gallon drums of nitromethane racing fuel. The bomb that was depicted in the Turner Diaries was ammonium nitrate and fuel oil. McVeigh was going to amp up his bomb really dramatically by using this much, much more volatile fuel.
Minutes later, the 9-story structure was in ruins. Among the dead were 19 children. Most of them had been playing at the daycare center.
Everyone in America saw the pictures on television, heard the news on the radio. What was your reaction when you saw those pictures?
I think, like everyone else, I thought it was a tragic event.
And the children?
I thought it was terrible that there were children in the building.
Tim McVeigh is full of it. He said it was terrible about the children. He had been to the daycare center. He had talked to the director of the daycare center. He knew those children were there.
McVeigh is quoted in the book as referring to the children killed in the daycare center as collateral damage.
So when he said that if he had known that there was a daycare center, that might have given him pause to change his target.
He was lying. He was lying.
Arlene Blanchard was a sergeant working in the Army recruiting office. She was seriously injured by shrapnel from the blast.
He's a soldier. And before a soldier does a mission, they do a recon. He thought this plan out. He is trying to portray himself in a light that he could soften the blow of the way people view him when he says, I didn't know that there were children in the building, which was a blatant lie.
Where you headed?
Oklahoma City.
Drive safe, man. Here.
The Cows, Gus T. Renegade, in for another broadcast, hopefully to share constructive information on the system of white supremacy. Today's date, Tuesday, April 1, 2024. 1995. So I have been told. Wow. For this program, I guess I would start some of the voices that we just heard. The late Janie M. Coverdale, you heard her voice in the segment from 60 Minutes and saying that Timothy McVeigh lied and that he had visited the daycare center. Jamie M. Coverdale intimately related to the daycare center because two of her grandchildren, Aaron and Elijah, 5 and 2, respectively, they both perished in the blast along with 168 others, but that was Janie M. Coverdale, who recently passed away in 2022, who lost two of her grandchildren in that blast. And then you heard from Sergeant Arlene Blanchard, who followed Mrs. Coverdale and Sergeant Blanchard, and saying, wait a minute, we're talking about a soldier, race soldier, but we're talking about a soldier. You study. You don't just go out and say, I'm going to start my war and my battle and start shooting. You go out and study. We heard this. Charleston, 2015. Said old Dylan Roof had been hanging out at the church, they said, for months. Going to the church, studying. How many people are there? All of that. Doing my reconnaissance. Got my white supremacist mission. Heard, really? Same thing. Where am I going later this year? Really? Pendleton, New York. I keep telling you all, Buffalo has their list of top 10 events. The Oklahoma City bombing is on the Buffalo list for top 10 events of the city. Tim McVeigh, Pendleton, New York. They call that the suburbs of the western New York region. But Timmy's sick white brother, Peyton Gendron, I'm going to see him again this year. He did the same thing. I've been studying these niggers in Buffalo for a long time, and I'm going to go get them. Same thing, but all of that is cowardly behavior, which I've said, and you heard that exactly. Sergeant Arlene Blanchard, I'm a soldier. I'm defending my country. I'm the patriot. You're going to come and blow up a nursery. Because I'm mad. I got a grievance. I'm mad. I don't like what you did down in Waco. You're a cowardly racist. For today, our broadcast, it's April. It's been 30 years. It's been 30 years. This is probably another one of those events that people should have on the calendar. Where were you April 19th, 1995, middle of the O.J. Simpson trial? How many programs do you know of where those events are connected? Middle of the O.J. Simpson trial. The only thing for a year that disrupted that niggers going to jail, killing them white people, was Tim McVeigh. And it was real brief. Real brief. Then we got to get back to the juice. But this is one of those moments, where were you? And this is one of those that people should study. It shouldn't be news like it was to me. Like, what? Buffalo? Why is this related to Buffalo? Timothy McVeigh. Oh. You should know a lot about this here case, especially. Man, Tim McVeigh, before he got executed, you talk about stand by your work. This little coward, one thing I will say for old Timmy McVeigh, they interviewed that dude, and he said, final score, I'm going to tell you, it's 168-1. Yeah, you got me in death row and all that. Y'all come put me on TV, closed circuit and all that. And yeah, I'm going to die and all that. But it's 168-1. I win. Dang. And then the double whammy of this, so that's way back, beginning of the millennium. 25 years later, former President Bill Clinton, his neck of the woods, Arkansas, Bill Clinton gets on television and says, Timmy McVeigh's views are pretty mainstream now. Look at everything just happened, January 6th, all the rest of it. That's widespread. The government and y'all ain't gonna DEI us and we. Timmy McVeigh is widespread now. He won. He said the exact same phrasing. He won. Well, our guest for today's broadcast, further study of all of this, and timely for a number of reasons. I said that to them. Timely, we are encroaching on 30 years to the day of this horrific act of white terrorism, and appropriate for the time. It is very major. Tim McVeigh would fit right in with all, he could have been at the Capitol, man. He would have just got pardoned, been out bombing and looting and everything. I got a band of brothers now. I don't have to be out here by myself whining that everybody is lazy and shiftless and not doing anything to go out here and support the white race. I got a band of brothers now. Woo. Timing indeed. Our guests for today's broadcast, they are the filmmakers for the brand new biopic. So this is not a documentary. We heard a few snippets from different documentaries and 60 Minutes interview with Tim McVeigh, specifically lying about that nursery. And then we did hear the opening scene from the new biopic, eponymously titled, where the beginning old Tim McVeigh could have been stopped by the police, but no. And he cruises on to murder 168 people, 19 of them children, at the Alfred P. Murrah building in Oklahoma City. The project just came out literally days ago, so you can check it out. I think it's in the theaters. You can stream it online, see what you think, give your views and all of that good stuff. This is, at least to my understanding, a slight departure if you look at some of their other works. 2017, California Dreams, Little Rock, 2010. They don't seem quite as, 168 deaths in Oklahoma City, but wow, very interesting project, and we will chat it up about their purpose for making this film, if it's screened down in Oklahoma, all the rest of it. The director and writer for the film, he is credited with spending his time between New Orleans, Louisiana, how about that, and Berlin. Wow. Says that he honed his skills at the California Institute of the Arts, and also won the Audience Award at the AFI Fest. My jaw hit the ground on that. I said, man, literary and cinema critic that I am, I was just at the American Film Institute Festival, 38th edition, 2024, just literally a couple months ago. Like, how about that? Any hoodles. Looking forward to chatting it up with both of the filmmakers, director and writer, Mike Ott, and then his wife, who produced the project, Isolda Ott. Let's see if we have both of them with us, chatted up about their biopic, McVeigh. Let's see, do we have both of the Otts with us?
Yeah, I'm here. This is Mike.
Awesome. Thank you so much for hanging out with us a bit of your Tuesday evening. For folks who have not seen the film, and again, just came out, it's brand new, so if you might be your first time hearing of it, brand new. If you've not seen the film, we'll chat it up, maybe pique your interest. Mr. Ott, for folks who have, maybe this is their first time hearing about you and your different works of film, anything you'd like to share with us before we hop to this film?
No, I think you did a good intro. Thank you.
Right on. Do we have your wife, Isolda? Is she with us as well, or is it just you?
Yeah, she's here. She's walking around in the garage to take care of the lizards.
Okay. The lizards. Wow. Okay. Let's see. Are you joining us live from Louisiana or Germany?
Right now I'm in Los Angeles. Visiting my mother.
Okay. Neither. Gotcha. Yeah. Yikes! The wildfires and all. Do you have good air filters?
Yeah, for sure.
Of course. Let's see. Are you a German national, like born in Germany?
No, my wife moved there. She was born in Siberia, and then she moved to Berlin when she was 10. And I met her at the festival 8 years ago in Berlin. And we fell in love, and I ended up moving to Berlin.
Wow. Okay. So where were you born?
In Valencia, California.
Wow. Okay. Regular Cal, and you're classified as white?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. White man. And your wife, Isolda, is she classified as white as well?
I mean, they don't get any whiter. I mean, she's almost translucent.
Wow. Okay, hope you don't get in trouble for that one off the air. Let's see. Before we get into McVeigh specifically, all the goodies, have a few sound clips as well. This broadcast, and certainly for a film like McVeigh, I use the term racism and the term white supremacy. I use them as synonyms. I use the same definition for both terms. That definition, a global system of people who classify themselves as white and are dedicated to abusing and or subjugating everyone in the known universe whom they classify as not white. Do you think such a system exists? Do you think that definition is accurate?
Why the universe? The known universe.
Well, Elon Musk, he does have those space stations where they are not on the planet, and he is still accused of racism, where non-white people say in working for Space Station X that racism is still a problem and they're not paid correctly, or they make racist jokes, or whatever. There's some form of mistreatment to the employees that are not white. So apparently, even once you get off planet Earth, white supremacy racism continues to be a problem. That's why known universe.
I see. I don't know if I totally agree with it. I feel like it would take a lot of energy for someone to be that dedicated to racism. I mean, maybe they exist. I just haven't met any of these people.
Okay. It would take a lot of energy. So, no, you do not think that definition is accurate, and you do not think such a system exists?
Well, I think it sounds... There's something about it to me that sounds a little bit narcissistic, that people would be thinking about this all the time. And I don't know. Again, like, I haven't met anyone who was like that, so I don't know.
Are you saying you've never met a someone who was classified as white that you thought, this is a racist white person? You've never met anyone like that?
Not the way you described it, no.
It's just not the way I described it. I'll say it again. You've never met anyone that you thought, this white person is racist. You've never met anyone like that?
I'm sure I have, yeah.
But do you have if my definition of white supremacy racism is not accurate, you said you don't agree, which is great. We love it. Just being truthful. Do you have a definition for racism, white supremacy?
Well, I thought racism is if you treat someone negatively based on their race. I don't know the exact definition of that.
Treat someone negatively based on their race. So by that definition, someone who is classified as not white, they could practice racism, correct?
Sure.
Okay. Just trying to understand. As a white man, Mr. Ott, has a non-white person practiced racism against you at any point?
I'm sure it's happened, of course. But isn't there like some rules that only white people can be racist because they have the power or something like that? I heard that at art school.
I didn't hear the first part of your response. Could you repeat the first part?
That only white people can be racist or something like that. Isn't there some rule?
Did you? It sounded like you said something prior to that. I heard that part. What did you say before that?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Did you say I'm sure I have been that a non-white person has practiced racism? Did you say something close to that?
Yeah, I did say something close to that. Yeah.
Okay. That's a little suspicious because I thought he had said that at first. Like, what? Do you remember a time where you think a non-white person, hey, he might have been practicing racism. He might have been mistreating me specifically because I'm classified as a white man.
Well, I mean, it's also not something I think about that much, so I don't know. Are you asking me if anyone's ever been that I thought was being racist? I mean, sure.
A non-white person.
Yeah.
Do you remember one of those times?
Let me think about it. I have to think about it. I mean, nothing is popping in my head, but
Okay. How about this? As we are chatting it up about McVeigh, it's in the movie. Yeah. I'll be reminded. So as we're chatting, you give me 10, 15 minutes or so, and then I'll come back and I'll see, if your memory has been jogged.
Okay.
Great. Okay.
That's a deal.
Okay. This is a little different, I guess, for listeners, because normally I, as the host journalist, I am out looking and, trying to find stuff, boom, new film, whatever, where I saw something at the festival I want to talk about. This was the other way around. I guess there are a few more of these since I've been at the festivals and such, but they contacted Gus T to let me know that their film was about to come out last month. How did you and or your wife, did you all find out about the cows? Was just looking online and promote your film? How did Gus T come to your knowledge, awareness?
My wife listens to it from time to time, so it's on her radar.
She listens to this program?
I listen, yeah, here and there, and then I listened to the one where you had the guy who wrote the book on OKC,
Andrew Gumbel.
Yeah,
fascinating book.
Yeah, it's a really good book.
I concur. That's so interesting. I don't know if we can pull in the missus, if she's still caring for the lizards, to just get in a quick question about her listening. Is that possible?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so this I guess one is it Isolda? Can I say it? Is that correct? Isolda?
You can call me Izzy.
Okay, how do you pronounce it correctly? Your name though?
Isolda.
Isolda. Okay, I was saying it.
It's a made-up name. It's a made-up name. The Russians made it up.
Isolda. Okay. And he said you are almost translucent white. Did you hear that? Did you hear when he said that?
It's true, Siberians.
Chinkies. Wow. Okay. Okay. Do people say that? I guess do they pick at you or tease you about your lack of color? Does that happen often?
Well, I've been in California now for 7 years, so I look much healthier than I used to.
Wow.
But in the beginning, for sure.
Wow. Amazing, Dr. Welsing. Okay. Well, I need to even rewind. So back to the definition, then I can get to my question about your listening. So I asked your husband, Mike, about our definition, and he said you've been listening, so you've heard it for a while. So my definition, a global system of people who classify themselves as white and are dedicated to abusing and or subjugating everyone in the known universe whom they classify as not white. Do you think such a system exists? Do you think that definition is accurate?
Well, this is part of why I started listening to your podcast, because I have a hard time understanding the concept of racism because I didn't grow up with it in Russia, and so I can tell that people, I mean, America is so intense in that way, and I can see that people are so affected and so emotional about it. So I have no doubt that that is an issue. Yeah, so I'm trying to understand still what exactly the concept of it is. Does that make sense?
No, and the reason that does not make sense to me, and even for our listeners all throughout the known universe, the reason is because I suspect you know better than I, if I, as a black dude, were to go to Moscow, it would not be, racism has disappeared. Wow. Me being a black person, and I see we got a chuckle, folks. Now she wouldn't have been there because I don't think there's nothing funny about that at all. I cannot go to Siberia and say, hey, that racism thing is done. We don't need this podcast no more. I do need some winter clothes. That isn't the case, which goes back to that definition. This ain't got nothing to do with America. This ain't got nothing to do with North America. Western Hemisphere, what I told your hubby, known universe. And all the to see, you all just sound like the regular white people that I'm accustomed to talking to wherever they happen to be from in the known universe. And particularly for this subject matter, how is all this from McVeigh? If we were talking about gardening or cucumbers or zucchini, maybe, but Timothy flippin' McVeigh?
Well, I mean, if you put it that way.
How do I put it? That's what we're talking about. Timothy McVeigh, right? How do I put it?
No, I haven't been in Moscow in a while, but yeah, people are different there. But people in Russia are pretty rude to everyone, like across the board. I wouldn't necessarily say that it's because of the race. Russians just are, a little different. Yes. Mike, tell me. And right now I'm just laughing because I'm put on the spot here.
Wow. And I didn't hear nowhere in there. Wrong, Gus. Come back to Siberia with me, brother Gus. We don't have no racism problem over there. I didn't hear nothing close to that. And therein lies the McVeigh. Just keep all of that is super important. That's why we start all the programs, definition for, and she's been listening to the program. She's been doing recon like Timothy McVeigh. Have you heard, Mrs. Ott, you've heard this program is intended for non-white people. Have you heard me say that ever in the archives?
Intended for non-white people?
Yes.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that it was intended for non-white people.
Okay. Well, it's written at the very top of the program. I make an effort to say that often because we even have non-white people who go and share the program with white people. So I have to say that all the time. I do not take the position that you.
I apologize. I didn't get that. No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm not in the business of catching up white people on racism. You all do not need my help to figure all this out. Let's see. I guess I'll ask this. You all can make it a group effort on this one. What was your interest, particularly given the response about the definition for racism? What in the world prompted you all to make a biopic on Timothy McVeigh? Like, what was the thought process? Like, yes, we want to do this film.
Well, I realized that I didn't know that much about him. And I had stumbled across a documentary about him, and I realized I didn't know. And I heard some of the 60 Minutes interview, and I was in a room, and I wasn't watching. I was just listening to him, and I kind of didn't believe his shtick. Like it sounded like somebody trying to be tough, and I thought that was interesting. So then I started watching some documentaries about him, and I realized I knew absolutely nothing.
Okay. You didn't believe him. You watched the 60 Minutes. You thought he was trying to be tough. You watched some other documentaries, video footage. Still, what was the motivation? Like, was it, I want to solve a problem, so let's do a biopic on Timothy McVeigh? What was the reasoning to do this film?
Well, I mean, solving a problem or giving a message, I think, is kind of hokey. Like, kind of doesn't interest me. And I feel like there's something mysterious about what really happened. And I think anyone who does any research, if you read the book by Gumbel, I think that the mainstream narrative is not most likely what happened. So I was just really following my interest, I guess.
Was it? Did you have a goal to share information with the public that we didn't know? Like you said, you thought Timothy McVeigh was lying. So did you want to share information that we didn't know about McVeigh and this bombing?
No, not necessarily, because I think I don't think I'm qualified to say what happened. I mean, I think I put enough stuff in there that hopefully if someone might get interested, they look it up by themselves and they can make their own decision.
Did you think of this project? Did you conceive of it before everything happened with January 6th or afterwards?
Oh, way before. We had a lot of trouble getting funding for the movie. It took a long time. Yeah, I think we were working on it for like 7 years or something.
Wow. Okay. Did you get any pushback in terms of people saying, "What? You want to do a whole movie focused on Tim McVeigh? Like, what the world does not need a Tim McVeigh biopic." Did you get any pushback like that?
Yeah, from a lot of libtards who make rules about who make rules about what you can and can't make, and I think that's absurd.
Just because we don't use that term, Mr. Ott, so if you can indulge us for maybe 30 seconds, what do you mean when you say libtard? Just because we don't use that term.
But also, what do you think I mean?
Oh, I have no idea, because I really don't use that term. I don't use that term.
I don't believe that for a second. You have no idea what I mean by libtards.
What the world? Your wife listens to the program. I mean, what the world? I have never used that term, and I don't talk to people or listen to people who use that term. Like, I think I might have heard it before in my life, but I've never had the opportunity to ask someone like, whoa, what do you mean when you say libtard? What does that mean exactly?
Well, I don't believe that you've been to AFI Fest and been traveling around to like all these hip places and you don't know what libtard means, but
am I asking too much for you to just like give me?
No, not at all. I mean, a definition. I mean, I think someone whose liberal views have literally made them retarded.
Their liberal views have made them retarded. I'm done. What are liberal views? If you could break that down for me quick, and then we get back to it. Liberal views are.
I would say Joy Behar from The View, like her views.
That's an example. Like, I have seen Joy Behar before, but like, can you give me specific details? These are views that qualify specifically as so-called liberal.
I know what's a hot topic right now in liberal and for liberals. I mean, these people that are like anti trying to save the environment, they're burning up Teslas. It seems kind of doesn't make sense.
Wow, that is fascinating. Okay, libtard. I have to thank you for indulging us. I've never had an opportunity to be able to get someone to break it down for me. Libtard. And yes, I was at AFI Fest. I did not hear anyone called a libtard at all. It was great. I had a great time. The air quality was horrendous, and this was before the wildfires, and I groused about that the whole time. But other than that, it was great. I got to see all the films I wanted and then some. Yeah, Carmageddon. Well, LA was awful. Oh, we were there for the World Series. Anyway, we were there for the World Series, so that was awful. But the festival was tremendous, and LA sucks. Let's see. So this was before January 6th, and you were telling us about difficulty. It took 7 years because you had difficulty getting funding. Did you, in your research process for all of this, did you all go to OKC to the museum for this tragedy?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
And we went at night. It was nice. It was very peaceful, and we were the only people there. It was cool.
How did that impact your work for the film, going to the museum?
I mean, not at all, I don't think.
Okay. Were you able to talk to any of the survivors or folks who, I guess, lost relatives and such in the blast?
No. I also didn't want to be sentimental about it. I thought it was important to have a little bit of distance from it, because I think that it would have affected how I would have done it possibly. So it was nice to kind of go into it not knowing anyone involved, just not to fuck with my perspective.
Okay. Has this? My fault. Did you have anything else?
No.
Has this film, I know it just came out very end of last month, has this film screened in Oklahoma City, or have you been able to get feedback from folks in that area about what they think?
I have asked my producers and my distributor to screen it there, but they chose against it, so it's kind of a bummer.
Dang. What did they give you reasoning as to why it wouldn't screen there? Why they didn't want to screen it there?
No, it's kind of a lot of mumbo jumbo talk, which I couldn't really make sense of what they were saying. But I would have liked to screen it there. I also think if they could deal with the bombing, they could deal with the movie.
Hear, hear. I think Mr. Gumbel, who wrote it, he guest on our program, I think he went there and did a talk. Now I realize it's very different sitting and watching a movie as opposed to having somebody come and talk about a book. But I think some of the documentaries that have been done about the blast, I think, have screened there, and wasn't a big to do.
Yeah.
Anyway, I would have been interested. Maybe they'll watch it online or what have you, and they'll give some feedback. I'd be curious to hear what they think. Let's see.
Yeah.
What was, I guess, the thought process? This film is very obviously titled McVeigh. It is very narrowly focused, like you said. It's not any of the victims and what happened to them or what have you. It is McVeigh and Alfie Allen from folks at Game of Thrones is pretty much every scene. Why was the decision? What was the decision process in terms of we're just going to focus on McVeigh here?
Well, I don't know how a story would work to include the victims. I think that that would be a different movie. And Alfie's in every scene because the point of view is kind of his point of view for the most part. So it's you don't have any scenes, I don't think, without him. And also to try to focus for people to concentrate on the character.
What was that process like in terms of casting Alfie Allen to be Tim McVeigh? I guess people would know him from Game of Thrones and other roles that are not quite this. How did you end up with, yes, Alfie is our Tim McVeigh?
Well, it's the first time I cast a movie with a formal casting director and dealing with celebrities and stuff like that. And they kind of just offer you people, kind of say, do you like any of these? And maybe 10 names. And you can kind of tell them, maybe this guy or maybe this guy. And then you meet with them and you kind of try to get a sense of, A, if you get along with them, and B, if they kind of talk about the film or talk about the character in a way that you're hoping that they can pull it off.
Okay. So I guess you and Alfie, you all had your vibe or what have you, and felt like, yeah, he could take you where you wanted to go with McVeigh's character?
Well, the first time we met, we got drunk at a bar out here, and he started the conversation by telling me some of his problems, which I thought was very pleasant. Like, not trying to put on a show. He was like telling me what was going on in his life, and made me like him a lot. I mean to say that I knew if he could do the character or not. I'd be lying if I said yes, because you can't really audition celebrities. You kind of just have to like hope that they are going to be good.
Interesting. Wow. Was he knowledgeable about the OKC bombing and Timothy McVeigh, or was this something where he said, "Hey, I'll research for the role"?
Yeah, I don't think any of the. Well, Tracy Letts was very knowledgeable about the bomb. I mean, he wrote that film Bug, which is like loosely based on Timothy McVeigh and Jolly West and all that stuff. The rest of them, I think, once they were interested in the part, they did their research. And I think Alfie was probably, nervous to some degree, which I don't blame him to take on a role like that.
It's not Game of Thrones.
What did you think of his? What did you think of his performance? I thought it was great.
Having not been someone who watched Game of Thrones, so I wasn't as knowledgeable with his body of work.
Yeah, but you don't have to watch Game of Thrones to know whether you thought he was good or not. I mean, all Game of Thrones is terrible.
Dang, okay. Not bad. I'm thinking back over his role in the film. I'm trying to think of I have sound clips, so I can just I'll weave some of it in with the sound clips of Alfie. But yeah, not bad. I don't think it was an Academy Award, but not bad.
Yeah, well, who won the Academy Awards? I mean, usually have the worst movies like Lord of the Rings or Driving Miss Daisy. I mean, it's not really like something to strive for, I don't think.
True. Soundtrack to a coup d'etat did get nominated. That was that was at AFI Fest. That was my favorite from AFI Fest. Who is Ashley Benson's character, Cindy? Now, I might have missed a note or two from the McVeigh story, but who is this love interest, Cindy?
Oh, I just made it up. I mean, there had to be something else going on besides him trying to get elements for the bomb. So, and also maybe to show another side of him, that he's just, not mean all the time, or also just to narratively have something else going on in the film.
Okay. And I think I did say at the beginning of our discussion, this is not a documentary. This is a biopic. Mm-hmm. So dramatic license, I think, is the way they'll phrase it. I was thinking, like, dang, did I miss stuff? Because I do not remember. I've not heard nothing about this. Like, what is going on here? I was like, okay, maybe, dramatic license, they fictionalize something. Now, my thought process, but actually when you were saying that, this 90-minute film, feature-length film, you have to have other things, and you said humanizing him. He can't be angry all the time and bombing all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Based on the record of what I saw, I didn't see this. I didn't see him having no sofa tryst with no young hot blonde and bringing her. That scene right there.
Well, he definitely would never. He definitely never got a girl that hot. I mean, for sure.
You want to talk about a scene that really got my goat? Can I put a name down again just for? Man, yes, put it on Aaron. Hang on one second. Hang on for Aaron Elijah Coverdale. Janie M. Coverdale no longer with us, losing her grandchildren in all of this. 168 casualties, 19 children. They got Tim McVeigh with a bouquet of flowers to go give to a blonde chick. Now that right there, I said, whoa.
Wait. I'm confused what you're saying. Wait, what? Who got?
Timothy McVeigh, when he goes to the diner to see Cindy, and he's got his little satchel of flowers, like they go to the gun range. He gets her and they go on a date to the gun range. It's like, man, I mean, wow, I get it that he's shooting and all that, but I mean, since this is fictional, wow. Like, does the world need a fictionalized Tim, as at least he has a moment of he's just a regular dude dating a blonde white girl, and even bringing her a bouquet of flowers, just like a upstanding, I mean, really. But what was the thought process behind that?
I mean, also, well, I would say Coverdale, the woman Coverdale, she's in touch with Terry Nichols. They're pen pals.
Well, they were pen pals. She's been deceased for a couple years now, but they were pen pals.
I mean, I don't know her history. I just saw a news clipping where she was talking about that she was pen pals with Terry Nichols for a while, and I think she said she forgave him, and she thinks that there's more to the story than the government's telling.
I do too, but what does that have to do with Timothy McVeigh giving flowers to some white chick?
Well, you brought her up, and I mean, I think like human beings do human things. I mean, just because he made a bomb doesn't mean he never brought a girl flowers. That would be insane. He doesn't just think about bombs all the time, I would imagine. And I also think, have you ever seen United 93? Have you ever seen United 93?
No, sir.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's about 9/11 and that plane that went down. And
I did see that.
He does in that movie. Yeah.
I forgot. I did see it.
One of the things I think is very smart in that film is that he makes the terrorists nervous about what they're going to do, which like humanizes them and makes them much more scary, I think, opposed to them just being these kind of robots who only want to kill Americans, which doesn't seem very realistic.
I'm going to go, this is one of those boys and girls listeners, reading is more important than watching television, like 8 billion times. And I have to say this with emphasis because the pattern I've observed, especially for non-white people, white people are to blame for this, but doesn't make it any better. The pattern is, and that one is for sure not funny because they have whole books. We just read a tremendous book about this, In Silence or Indifference, where that's one of the main points, that yes, white people are to blame for black people not reading, and they've done this deliberately, for sure. That's why. Hang on one second. You interrupted.
Okay.
You interrupted.
Yeah, sure.
That's why the Turner Diaries is not a banned book. Now, you might have trouble getting The Hate You Give or The Bluest Eye, but the Turner Diaries is not a banned book. Anyway, but we just read all that about keeping black people, non-white people, but black people in particular, from reading. Reading more important to get accurate information about what happened. So many times we rely on documentaries and even biopics, which are, fictional, to understand events as opposed to getting into the detail. Now, we mentioned Andrew Gumbel's book. He wrote about this specifically. I highlighted it because I thought it was so important. Just allow me to read, because this passage came to mind immediately when I saw Cindy, like, who is this? Blonde and all. Who is this? Let me go to Mr. Gumbel's book. He writes, Anderson denied any such thing. She thought of McVeigh as a son. Still, many of McVeigh's friends and acquaintances noticed a pattern. McVeigh would form strong, almost obsessive attachments to his closest male friends and then hit on their wives or girlfriends behind their backs. A few months later, McVeigh began dropping in regularly on Michael Fortier's then-fiancée, Lori, at the tanning salon where she worked. At the same time, McVeigh and Michael Fortier were so tight that Jim Rosencrans teased his neighbor about having a second wife. Rosencrans had a similar dynamic with McVeigh. His girlfriend Patty complained about being treated like a second-class citizen, but she also recalled the time Rosencrans walked in on one of her own conversations with McVeigh and accused him of making a move on her. There are two schools of thought about McVeigh's sexuality. The first says he was a highly ascetic person who sublimated whatever sexual energy he had into his war on the government. Sex either did not interest him or it scared him because he was unsuccessful at it. Much later, when he was on death row in Indiana, his fellow inmates nicknamed him Virgin McVeigh. But there is also evidence he was highly interested in sex and grabbed at it wherever he could. beyond his flirtations, he almost certainly had a brief affair with Mareef Nichols in the summer of 1994. Mareef testified about it at trial, and Terry Nichols subsequently confirmed he had been betrayed by his wife and his best friend. McVeigh seems to have viewed sex much as he viewed his need for food as a craving to satisfy efficiently so he could get on with something more interesting. To stave off his appetite, he often resorted to military MREs, meals ready to eat. To assuage his interest in sex, he looked for people he could use quickly and discreetly. And I'll stop there, but that's what I thought about, like, hey, she testified about this in trial, so this is not hearsay, this is rumor. You got to put your hand on the Bible, and I swear to God, white Jesus, that this is true. And then Nichols and all these people are in your film. Why don't we dramatize that, since it seems like this is based in fact, as opposed to, let's get a hot blonde in here and make him get a girl? Like, I don't. Am I making sense? Why did you consider that? Why not fictionalize the scene with him hitting on and maybe having an affair with his buddy Nichols' wife?
Well, it sounds like you have your own idea for a film, and you should make your own movie.
Do I need to pitch that question again? In terms of, yeah, because
no, I mean, there's a million things that departed from the real story. I mean, he also didn't smoke cigarettes, from what I know. It's my version of the events, and it's definitely not a biopic. I mean, I think biopics are for people who want to watch a movie of a famous person and say, "Well, man, he looks just like the person." That doesn't interest me so much.
I'm just trying to tease out the interest in terms of, and Cindy occupies a lot of time in the film. Like, he goes back to see her and everything before he goes off to do his bombing. I'm just trying to grasp, like, why did that catch her? And even in fact, there's a lot of blonde in this film. Like, Cindy is blonde.
What do you mean a lot of blonde?
I'm gonna tell you, and then you can let me know if this is deliberate, if Isolda, if she had a role in this. Cindy is blonde, and she's in the film quite a bit. Fictional, that's wherever this came from in your imagination. When he goes to do his purchase in Arizona, and he's got all his fake credit cards and what have you, his receptionist is blonde. When he goes to Elohim, and he has hanging out with Andrik, and he goes to do the dishes, Jen hops up and snatches the dish from him. She is blonde. And then even a number of the children that are running around, they are blonde, but they occupy your attention on the screen with their blonde hair, like as they're running around the table scene. So, and I said, dang, because most people on the planet are not blonde. There are seminal characters in this film, some of them made up, who are blonde. What's up with that?
Well, I think when they're having lunch in Elohim City, I think it was two redheads sitting behind Anthony. Anthony is also the actor who plays Frederick, is also bald. Tracy Letts has gray hair. Brett Gelman has brown hair. Arif has black hair. I mean, also people's hair color was not something I was paying attention to when I made the film.
Is Cindy a natural blonde? Excuse me.
I don't like that.
Ashley Benson? Because I don't think, if she's not, then there would have to be some coloring for this. Like, could she have been his hot young love interest if she was a redhead, brunette?
Absolutely. I mean, I also wanted her to, I wanted her to have that kind of like BMX biker hairdo, where like the roots grow out and it's blonde on the tips, kind of that like trasher look. But I gave her the license to do her hair how she wanted to, actually, so that's what she chose.
That's even, of course. Were you, that passage that I read from Mr. Gumbel's book about Tim, and it's in the transcript from the trial, were you aware that he's accused of having an affair with Mr. Nichols' wife, who's non-white, Mareef?
Well, it was a long passage that you read. But yeah, I did hear that. Which, she must have chose to do that, no? Or...
I was this close. I have other clips. I was this close to making a sound clip of that scene in the kitchen at the very beginning of the movie, the first time that Timothy McVeigh goes home with Terry Nichols, his Army war bud from Fort Benning. Cal's listeners know about that. So they go home and he's saying, oh, look, Mareef is here and she's working on her English and she's cooking and blah, blah, blah. And they sit down, they're going to eat. And so then when they, just before they go out to do the bombing, he says, oh my goodness, you won't believe it, man. You go over there to the Philippines and oh, you're just buried in all that Filipino. I can't say the P word, folks, but you know, you're just buried in all of it. And woo, they can't even speak English, man. You just point and they eat it up. Woo, it is the best thing. When he said, they got young, they got old. Whew, it's the best, man. Now, and he said, they just are looking for a better opportunity. Can you just get me on that boat and get over? Can you get me on that plane ticket? Let's get married. Get me that citizen. Whew, so I can get a. Now, that's it. And one, since I didn't make a clip, am I doing justice to the scene, Mr. Ott?
I respect the passion. I mean, that was a really good performance.
Thank you. I was at the film festival. I picked up some tips. Now, if that is the case, and I suspect it is, if that's based in truth, man, you got these old vulnerable off-the-boat people, as they are called. I can't even speak English. What do you mean say no? What? And Timothy McVeigh is, I don't know, about 6'2", or was, about 6'2", trained killer in the Army. I don't know Mareef's specs, but I mean, I don't think she's 6 feet tall. I think if Timothy McVeigh wanted to get rowdy, she can't even say no. She can't even speak English. Come on, Mr. Ott. Come on. Is Mrs. Ott still? Are you hearing this, Mrs. Ott? Are you hearing this?
Would you like me to make him less racist? Is that the problem?
No, but
I mean,
you didn't. You
I
didn't
thought you would
include that
actually
scene in the movie. It would have been great if you could have. In fact, you could have made him more racist. Because I think you could watch this film and not really think Timothy McVeigh is racist. You could have made him more racist.
Well, I mean, I'll take it into consideration when I make the part two. I mean, I don't know.
Have you heard that from other people? Like, what's...
Also, he seems pretty racist. I mean, I also don't know. Also, to me, his racism isn't the most interesting thing about him. I mean, from what I understand, also, didn't he quit the Ku Klux Klan for being too focused on race?
You said I didn't hear the first word. You said he was too, or what did he say about the Klan, his critique?
I had read that he quit the Klan because he thought that they were too focused on race, which seems odd for someone if their racism is the most important thing. And also, I thought him killing 168 people was more of a thing to focus on, possibly.
The killing, for sure, that would be something to focus on. But it would be difficult for me to even process that as truth. You're at Waco selling the Turner Diaries. I mean, that's what? What? If he had different literature, maybe I would have thought that way. But no, I don't think his problem was that they were too focused on race. Lazy.
Well, that's what he said, not me. I mean, that's what I read. I mean, also, I have no idea that's what I read. I mean, also, the Turner Diaries is a terribly written book.
It is so impactful. Wow. You would be lucky. And I'm not saying this to be critical, but I mean, I say this too. That book is at this point 50 years old and it gets talked about every day. We should be so lucky to create something that has that much lasting impact. Unfortunately, that was for destructive purposes, but I mean, hey, 50 years later, here we are. In fact, the Turner Diaries is not really present in the film. You see him at the gun shows and such, and he's got his rifles, but you don't see like a close up on the book. Was that done deliberately?
Well, we didn't really want to promote a white supremacist book, so we chose against it.
Okay. That makes sense.
Which I think you should appreciate.
I'm sorry?
I think you would appreciate that.
I can understand the logic. We read the book on our book club here. That is the only book that I have contemplated reading 2 times on the book club because I thought it was so informative, and it gets mentioned so many times. But yes, I can understand the logic of that. That does make sense. It looked like you did slip the book of Arms and Men, A History of War, Weapons, and Aggression. Did you slip that one in there?
I remember Help Shelter. I don't know. Possibly.
It looked like it was on the scene where Cindy is at Tim's house and she's playing the vinyl records, talking about her music collection, and the bookshelf is right there. It looks like it's right on the wall, next to the Guns and Ammo magazine books right there. It looks like is that a book that you had at some point on the set of Arms and Men? Did you have that book on the set at some point from McVeigh's collection? It's a gun book.
I did not.
Okay.
I mean, I was also juggling a bunch of stuff, so I trusted the production designers. But it must be there. You saw it.
I did. And it looks like this was in McVeigh's library for people who want to do their homework, of Arms and Men, A History of War, Weapons, and Aggression, Robert L. O'Connell. This looks like one that was at Turner Diaries, same ilk, all of the gun lust. I guess in the movie you all have McVeigh going to Elohim, this white supremacist camp out kind of eastern Oklahoma. I guess this was controversial or not, him saying that he was not there, other people saying that he was there, that this was a part of the planning. I guess you were convinced that he was there. You wanted to include this. How come?
Well, I know that he had met Strassmeyer, the guy from from Elohim, at a gun show, and he had called there, I think, before the bombing, and he was headed that direction. And he also got a speeding ticket, I think, right outside of there once. So I think he had definitely more contact than he admitted.
The scene, make sure I get my sound clips in. Okay, so you all showed the influence, which I think is important, right? Elohim, we talked about that whole white supremacist encampment religion of white supremacy, white people being reluctant to even go in to apprehend these folks. We talked about that. We talked about the influence of Richard Wayne Snell, who you all depict in the film repeatedly. You show McVeigh going to have jail. And I think that's another part that's fictionalized too, right? Is there a record of McVeigh going to see Snell in prison?
Not that I know of.
Okay. Now that I didn't have a problem with at all. I think some other people pointed that out too, that I don't think that's accurate historical record. Or in fact, I'll put it in the form of a question. Why did you fictionalize these visits between McVeigh and Richard Wayne Snell? And for listeners, Richard Wayne Snell, convicted white supremacist. He was executed on April 19th, the day of the Oklahoma City bombing in 1995. He killed I think he killed the first black state trooper in the state of Arkansas, Louis Bryant, I think his name, but he didn't get the death penalty for that. Yeah. He got convicted for murder for that. He got the death penalty because he killed a pawn shop owner who he thought was Jewish. Sounds like he might have made an error there, but that's why he got the death penalty. But he killed this black officer, said he didn't regret any of it. Why did you fictionalize these prison meetings between McVeigh and Richard Wayne Snell?
Well, there's a story that after the bombing, he asked to turn on the TV, and he was smirking to himself, and he was also, I guess, telling the guards that something was going to happen to avenge his execution, which just made me think that maybe he knew more about it than he was saying. And also, I think he's buried at Elohim City, and he's another strange character, someone who, I don't know, if you spend your entire life being a racist and you kill someone because you think they're Jewish and you're wrong. And it seems he didn't do very much research.
Did you go to Elohim City while you were in Oklahoma?
No, I'd be terrified to go there.
Why? You're white. They would probably let you in.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. I wouldn't want to find out. I also think, I don't know, that place just looks scary. Have you seen the footage of that place?
I have.
Those little Lord of the Rings houses and stuff, those little domes. Yeah, no, I would be terrified to go there.
Oh, no, that's time to use my white pay. If I was classified as white, I would see if I could at least sneak it. Some of the victims, I was stunned. Some of the victims from the Oklahoma City bombing, they said they went to talk to some of these folks, and I was stunned. Like, why? Because, I mean, they're white, so of course they could go in. They went. They even said that some of the folks at Elohim, they knew them. They reckoned, I think the one, she lost 2 of her grandchildren. She said the white fella, he told her, he said, I am so sorry. Your 2 little Aryan grandchildren perished in that bomb, and I cried for them. She said he had a tear came down his cheek when he was talking to her. Man. The sound clip I want to play, this is Mr. McVeigh. So he's sitting in the vehicle, and we just talked Richard Wayne Snell. So he hears it pop up on the radio that Richard Wayne Snell has lost all of his appeals, and he's going to be executed. So this is McVeigh kind of sitting in the vehicle, hearing all this, and then I want to ask a question about what pops up on the radio afterwards. All this is from the brand new film, Fictional, McVeigh.
Now, 61, a known white supremacist, had his final appeal denied. His execution date of April 19th will stand. Snell was arrested after the shooting of Officer Louis P. Bryant 2 years ago, which was thought to be a racially motivated murder. For that, he received life in prison. His death sentence came from killing a pawn shop owner a few days before Bryant. William Stump, who Snell mistakenly believed was Jewish. Snell has been unapologetic about the killings, even going so far as to say he has no regrets about his decision. His final appeal was denied this morning by the state of Arkansas.
In other news, the FBI is investigating an Oklahoma armored car company and the possible theft of millions of dollars in bank deposits.
The cows, Mike Ott, his wife, Isolda Ott, listening with us. The end part of that radio transmission where they're talking about these armored car thefts, McVeigh was accused or suspected, how did they fund, where did they get the money for all of this, of robbing banks? Was that little snippet on the radio, was that kind of hinting at McVeigh? Maybe he was involved in that, or am I off base?
Yeah, I realized it afterwards, after it was in there, that it's kind of a nod to the ARA gang. But initially it was just put in there, and then I realized it made sense.
Oh, fortuitous. How about that? Dang. Okay. And even speaking of the AFI, soundtrack to Coup d'etat was the whole reason that I went to the festival. But I did see the order at this year's AFI Fest, and I'm so glad I did, because that film did not get mainstream theater access like I thought it would, and it was so good. I was so glad I got to see it at the festival, and the Turner Diaries popped up in it's the same, subject matter, Robin Banks, almost same time period, but that film was so great. That was a great selection. AFI Fest 38. Let's see, I'll nab one of our listeners.
That's the one with Jude Law?
Yes. Have you seen that? Did you see that one?
I didn't see it, no.
It was.
I read Silent Brotherhood, which is about that.
I'm gonna put that on my read list. But yes, that film was so good. I'm so glad I got down there to see it. I hadn't even heard of it until I saw it on the listing for the festival. But it was great, and they had the Turner Diaries. In fact, they had a copy of the Turner Diaries I had not seen before because it had illustrations in it. Like, I wigged out. It had the bombing scene. It had a number of. I hadn't seen scenes at all. Like, we read that whole book, but mine didn't have pictures in it. Theirs did. They have a scene where Richard Matthews, he's reading the Turner Diaries to his white child with the pictures, and that's that's considered youth literature.
I'm sorry.
Matthews? Say it again.
You said Richard Matthews. Bob Matthews.
Thank you. Accuracy is important. Thank you, Bob Matthews. Thank you. Bob Matthews is reading to his child, and it's got the pictures from one of the most powerful scenes in the movie. Wow, I loved it a lot. The Order, same subject matter we're talking about now. The victim. Did you have a question for Mike Ott with us and his wife? Brand new film, McVeigh, just out, supposed to be in theater. I guess not in Oklahoma, but you can still stream it, catch it online, leave a review. Victim. Did you have a question for Mr. Ott, or the Otts? I'll say it that way.
Yes, sir. May I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Gus, for taking my call. Greetings, Mr. Ott. Thank you for coming with us. Is this your first foray into filmmaking, or were there other films you made?
I made a couple of films before this.
Are all of them on the same subject matter of terrorists and bombers?
No, that'd be redundant. Most of them are about the desert in California.
Okay. I'm not sure. I wasn't here for the first part, so that's why I'm a little didn't get your rundown of what you've done. From what I've heard, I wanted to ask you, how should non-white people feel about Timothy McVeigh after watching your film?
How they should feel?
Yeah, how should non-white people feel about Timothy McVeigh after watching your film?
I mean, however they want. I have no idea. That would be a wild thing for me to say how anyone should feel after making the movie.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch your response, sir.
I have no idea how they should feel. I also didn't make the film with like someone's feelings at the end in mind. They can feel however they want.
They can feel how they want. Okay. 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 Well, that's the question I have for now. Thank you for taking my call. I'll be my line.
Much obliged. Victim. Let's see. I don't know. Let me see. I'm a non-white person, and I watched the film. I was going to get our next caller. Let me think. I'm a non-white person. How did I feel after I watched the film?
How did you feel?
Let me see. Since I did, I'm not going to waste time. I'm going to take the other caller, and then I'll answer. That way I can take a minute or two to think. Okay. I'm going to answer that question. Our caller at 2979. Did you have a question for the Otts? You should be with us. 2979.
Hello, good evening. Can I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Good evening, Gus, the callers, and to our guest. Is it Mr. Otts?
Yes,
Ott.
it is.
O-T-T, Ott.
Yeah.
Oh, O-T-T, thank you. So just about 2 or 3 questions. I've been listening to the program. The first question I had was for your film, McVeigh, what type of research did you do on Timothy McVeigh or to create the film?
I read most of the books I could find and watched what there was, documentary-wise.
It was a little bit hard to hear what you said for the first part of that. You said if you could just repeat it.
I read all the books that I could find on it.
Okay. I don't know if it's common practice in a documentary or a movie, but are the books like cited in the film? So if I wanted to read those books myself or watch those documentaries.
Are they cited, did you say?
Like cited, like citing sources?
No, not at all.
Okay. My next question was trying to think of the best way to ask this, but how did you interpret Timothy McVeigh based off of the research, people you spoke to, media you consumed?
I found he was kind of boring, possibly. And then I also read a book by the guy who shared a jail cell with him on death row, and he describes him as this like kind of unbearable narcissist.
Is that how you interpreted him, or I think you said somebody, I forget the name, but somebody.
That's what I read about him. I think ultimately, if you look into him, everyone has kind of a different description, so it's hard to understand like what kind of person he was. Which he's either really mysterious or really boring.
So that didn't answer the question that I had asked. I was asking you like.
Well, I'm doing my best.
The professional, personal opinion. How did you interpret Timothy McVeigh? How did you like see his character and your, I guess mainly how did you interpret him?
I guess I interpret him as someone who it's a good question. I have to think about it for a second. Maybe unexceptional. Yeah, maybe unexceptional, I would say.
Unexceptional. Were you still adding to that? Sorry if I interrupted.
No, that was it. That's all I had.
Interesting. Okay, the last question I had was, what were you hoping to accomplish by coming onto this program tonight?
To talk about the film.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Didn't want to interrupt you.
No, that was it. To discuss the film.
Okay. Thank you, Gus. Thanks for taking my call and my questions. That's it.
Much obliged. Much obliged. The cows, Mr. Mike Ott, his wife, Isolda Ott, hanging out with us, discussing the brand new film, McVeigh, almost 30 years to the date of the 1995 Oklahoma City bombing white terrorist attack. There's a scene in the film, play the clip, and then, in fact, even, let me ask our both of the folks who dialed in, I'm going to see what they think, and then we'll get the answer from Mr. Ott. He can tell us. This scene puzzled me, and then I was even more puzzled when I started reading reviews, and it seemed other people were questioning this scene too. And it's like, oh man, I'm going to ask them. Okay, so this is, we'll call it midway through the film. McVeigh is kind of en route. They've already been talking about the bombing and prepping and all that good stuff, so they're pretty far along in the process. He goes out to a bar, which happens a number of times in the film, and we'll just kind of pick it up from there. There's another kind of group doing their thing at the bar. Short segment, we'll pick it up. But the folks who dialed in with a hand up, I'm going to ask you a question about this scene. So, in fact, the question, I'll give it to you now. So as you hear this, the person who has the kerfuffle with Mr. Tim McVeigh, do you think this is a white person or a non-white person? Pay attention.
Hey, bartender. Can I get 2 drinks? 2 rum and coke. Hey, matter of fact. And pick something good this time.
Yes, I
will. Hey, all right now. Starting something. Starting something. Second.
What a song,
Yeah. tell me where you learn the moves from. Tonight. Yo, man, what the fuck is your problem? You deaf? I'm talking to you. You know what? I suggest you leave before this shit get real ugly. Motherfucker.
Hey. Don't worry about him. Baby.
Cows. All right. Before we get our answer from Mr. Ott, victim in the scene that we just heard, did you get the impression that McVeigh was having this kerfuffle with another white dude or a non-white dude?
Hello. To me, it sounded like it was a scene out of Quentin Tarantino's movie, and he depicts non-white black people in a very stereotypical way. So I'm going to go with non-white Gus.
Okay, got one non-white. Caller 2979, did you think McVeigh was about to have some sort of skirmish altercation with a white dude, non-white dude?
I do have a response. It was a little bit hard for me to hear the beginning parts of that. So the parts that I did catch was Timothy McVeigh. Who was the female in the scene? Who were they? Was she talking to Timothy McVeigh or the other individual?
The other individual. That's a different couple. They're having their own time at the bar, and McVeigh is by himself.
I think it was a non-white person.
Two non-white. Wow. Okay. Now, I looked online. Someone raised an issue about this, and I read some of the reviews. Other people mentioned this scene. And it was like, is he talking to a black dude? And for people who've not seen the movie, now this happens in kind of a darkly lit bar, so it's kind of hard to see. Like, I paused it and did, like, is this? And I could not see at all. So I wish we had the drum roll. Mr. Ott, is he having some sort of kerfuffle with a black dude here, or is this another white person?
I mean, what do you think?
I thought, I couldn't tell, man. Like, I zoomed in because for
Really?
a moment I thought it was a white person.
I don't believe that. You're very observant. You
Right.
actually know.
Listen to what I'm saying, though, because I zoomed in. One, can you just confirm for our listeners, this scene is very dark? Just confirm that for our listeners. It's not like they're out on the beach, high noon. That's not the scene at all. It's a super dark nighttime bar, right?
I mean, it's bar lighting, yeah.
Okay. That's what I meant, lighting. Poor dark lighting, super inside bar. I stopped it. I paused it. I locked in, and I said, wait a minute. It looks like he could be kind of, oof. Man, I was at first thinking this could have been a black dude. Then when I looked, like I said, I'm looking at the female, and I had some block because I'm thinking real life. Timothy McVeigh is not hanging out in places where there are lots of Leroys. He's at Elohim City. And, like, where is he going to be hanging out where it's just going to be other black people in the scene kicking it with him? So I kind of had that influencing my brain. But when I paused it and I looked at this guy, I was like, man, he seems kind of... This does not look like a super dark complexion dude to me, so I don't know. That confused me a little bit more. Go ahead and help us out, Mr. Ott.
Well, I'm going to take it out with my cinematographer.
What?
Clear.
Who was the cinematographer?
Daniel, and I guess he fucked up. So
Daniel? Is Daniel a white dude or a non-white person?
Well, he's a Spaniard. I don't know what that counts as.
Is he classified as white?
I mean, yeah, he looks pretty white.
Wow.
But I mean, he messed up, so I'll put it up. I'll take it up.
You say how did he mess up? How did he mess up?
Well, obviously, if you, I mean, it's not a point in the film to be confused. So if you're confused, then he fucked up.
Was he supposed to be a black dude?
Well, I guess we're just going to lead up to the imagination at this point.
How interesting. How interesting. I could see what the folks said. I don't know. Have people talked to you about that specific scene before?
No, actually.
Okay.
But you read something that someone else was upset about it, or they were?
No one was upset. No one was upset. They were just questioning if part of this conflict is because this is a black dude, and then it would be kind of a black dude with a white female, because I could see her, so it looks like white female. Some people were questioning if that's what was happening here, why he kind of bumps into, that's what, for people who didn't see, that's what kind of starts all this. Timothy McVeigh kind of walking by and bumping into him aggressively. They were wondering if that's what this was, which I could totally see that being, but like I was saying, I don't really think he'd be in too many places where there would be black people and, you know, all the rest of it. But okay. I was wondering, where is Jenny McVeigh? She's such a pivotal figure, and talking about getting at his humanity. Did you think about somehow getting his sister into the film?
No, I don't really know that much about her. I thought they were writing letters back and forth. And I think he like sent her some money from the bank robbery, I think. And also, I mean, I had 90 minutes to make a movie. There's a million rabbit holes to go down and people to incorporate. So at a certain point, you have to cut things out.
For sure.
He also had another. He had another sister too, right?
I know about Jenny. I'd have to go back to see the full family tree. Get to Buffalo, I'll do that. Yeah. But I know Jenny, for sure. And I mean, they, as you said, they were writing those letters, and he was kind of telegraphing, pun intended, what he was going to do with these bombs and saying.
Well, but I also think like. Yeah.
And even he was telling her to avoid self-incriminating, because he was instructing her, you know, destroy these notes and blah blah blah. That way, you won't get into anything. Like, I think that I thought was super important, because she ended up testifying too. Like, this is something that can be corroborated. And I thought it was important too. I thought Jenny was so important because she was recalcitrant. She did not want to aid the authority. 19 children got killed. They said she was acting like she did not. I'm not going to snitch. I'm not going to. I'm like, what? He killed 160. They had to pressure her with. That's why I was thinking, like, yes, where is Jenny? And she's teaching school now. I bring that up as often as I can remember it. She is a school teacher. Come on. He won. Timothy McVeigh said it before he died. He said the score is 168-1. President Clinton said it 25 years later. Tim McVeigh won. Period. If he had lived long enough, he'd have got a pardon too. You mentioned his name. In the film, you call him Frederick. I thought that was Andres C. Streismeyer, and I think you already said it as we were talking. Is that what happened? You just changed the white man who was in Elohim City, who was supposed to be one of the people that spoke with McVeigh, Andres Streismeyer. You just switched him to Frederick in the film?
Yeah, there was legal reasons. And, I had heard an interview with Streismeyer recently, and he seems pretty sue happy. So
he seems pretty what?
Sue happy, like he's ready to sue.
Oh, I see. Okay, I see. How interesting. And it was, I guess, alleged. I know in Mr. Gumbel's book, he alleged that this guy might have been an informant, at minimum suspicious, for all of the contact that he had with McVeigh, even leading up right to the moments leading up to the bomb and such. Like, if other people were involved, this might be one. And having a global kind of, he was a gentleman. When I said you have him in the film as a Canadian French national, I said, wait a minute, I thought Streismeyer was German. Isn't he German?
Yeah, he's German.
Yeah, so that did kind of catch, like, yeah, I don't know why they, I guess if you sue him, but I mean, yeah, he's German. Yes, German. So got the Streismeyer, ATF, I will answer the question about how I felt about the film, but now I can get my rewind. So now that you've had even more than an hour to think about it, have you been able to think of a time where a non-white person practiced racism against you because you are a white fella?
I have, actually. I was going to bring it up. when I was going to CalArts, I was dating this woman who was half Japanese and half Iranian. And she was, I guess her parents were very racist. As she told me, she said they owned a gas station and they were very racist, and she was very anti-racist. And she was having an art show, and I had some DJ equipment. She asked to borrow it, and she was my girlfriend, so I said, of course. And I found out later that she was going to have her ex-boyfriend use the equipment. And she DJ'd, so I thought she was using it. And when I told her I had a problem with it, she said, "You white people are so odd with your stuff."
Is that the whole incident?
Yeah, I mean.
Oh, okay. Obviously, you all didn't get married because we wouldn't have Isolda. Wow.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know. Is that not racist? I mean, is that not enough? I don't know. I thought she thought I wouldn't let her use my DJ equipment because it had something with me being white.
That is a wild.
I mean, would you let your ex? Would you let your girlfriend let her ex use your stuff? I mean,
probably not. Which is why I don't have a care mate. But I mean, that doesn't seem like you were mistreated. I was waiting on the mistreatment.
Well, listen, I also wasn't there. I mean, I don't know if I was mistreated or not. I'm doing my best.
Oh, okay. I love it. Dang, that's okay. Wow. Much obliged. That was our and she's you white people and you got all these hang-ups.
I like to laugh. You have a good laugh. Nice.
You laugh to keep from crying, man, McVeigh, and man, it's hard. It's hard. Okay, so we didn't get that. How did I feel? I did not chuckle. I thought, rats, where was Jenny? That was a big one. I was really looking for it because she teaches school now and everything, you know? And she didn't even want to snitch. She was hard, no snitching, no snitching. So I was really bummed that Jenny McVeigh was not in the film. And because I thought, if you can't show everything, why in the Christ is this made-up blonde chick here to have a raunchy sex scene and everything that's not even true? We could have nixed all that and put 5 minutes of Jenny McVeigh in, or him having an affair.
I would say that it's very uncinematic to watch someone write a letter.
That could have been a phone call. That could have been portrayed in lots of different ways. You could have fictionalized a meeting with he and the sister because he was moving around the country and such. It's a lot of different ways that could have been fictionalized. And Marif, that's an easy one because if we got to have a raunchy sex scene, Marif, put that there, and then we get the racism and all the rest of it. He doesn't even care about Terry Nichols that much because I'll, take your, what they call it, mail order bride. And even, what do you think? Do you have a thought about that? Because you include that in the scene. These dudes are racist, and he's got this non-white wife, and apparently McVeigh's having sex with her too. Like, what is up with that? I thought you all were supposed to be about Aryan nation and producing white babies.
So you like that or you didn't like that?
I'm just asking, what are your thoughts on that? Because that is based on truth, and you do display that in the film. Isn't that a contradiction in terms of these are supposed to be white people who believe in white supremacy, but they're having sexual intercourse with a non-white female?
They seem like not very good racists.
He said not good race. That, I don't know. I've seen a lot of white people practice racism by doing just that, engaging in sexual activity with non-white people. Do you think a white person can practice racism by engaging in sexual activity with a non-white person?
That sounds complicated. Can you say it again?
Do you think a white person can practice racism by engaging in sexual activity with a non-white person?
Is the sex the act of racism, or they're doing something racist after the sex?
Could be both, but specifically the act of sexual activity.
I mean, it depends on whatever your kink is. I have no idea. It sounds like if that's what they're thinking about, I mean, that's probably pretty bad sex.
I just want to make sure I'm hearing it correctly. Did you say if that's what your kink is, like K-I-N-K? Is that what you said?
Well, I'm saying that if your kink is like fucking someone and thinking about racism, it just seems very complicated, and I don't know. Kind of defeats the purpose of having sex. It's also beyond what I would be thinking about. I don't know.
This is just for my hearing purposes. We might not have the best line. Did you say K-I-N-K, kink, if that's what your kink is? I just want to make sure I heard that correctly.
Yeah, kink. I said that. Yeah.
Okay, right on. Just making sure. And to your response, Mr. Ott, that is in the film. That scene in the kitchen, that is about what you said, where Terry Nichols, he's got his Marif wife, non-white. She's made the food, some sort of curry with the coconut milk, and so she goes away. They're going to do their mama. But he says, they can't even speak English, man. You give them $3. Oh, my Lord, you are just swimming in all this non-white P word. And then you got young and old. That right there is, I'm thinking about the vulnerability, because he said, they can't even understand what you're saying. He likes that's a part of what makes this, my manliness. Yes, I get these little vulnerable non-white people. I can just do whatever I want with them, tell them whatever I want to. Yeah, and it's even implied, because he said, you got it in the film. He says, it's young, it's old. When I hear that, I don't think young like 30, 25. I think like 12, 10.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Epstein. Well, remember Subway Jared? That's what I think. The racism is implied in how they, and that's what he was doing. He was doing the same thing. He was going to that part of the non-white children. That's why I said it's implied. That is what they're thinking about in the sexual act, and that's even what Andrew Gumbel said in the book. See how Tim thinks about that's how what I thought and felt at the end of the film. Like some of this, like what? Just to get more gratuitous blonde, and even that about what you in your retort about the blondness of the hair. The redhead blonde or the redhead white woman does not get a speaking part. I don't even think her face is on the screen. The blonde white people, they get to talk. Even the receptionist, she gets to talk in the film. Cindy gets repeat scenes and a sex scene in the film. The other non-white one.
It's also not the sex scene, let's be honest. I mean, that's dry humping.
Sexual activity, man. Sexual activity. Come on now. See there.
No, I'm saying that's not sex. I mean, if that's sex, then we have a problem.
You say that again, please?
I said if that's considered sex, I mean, we have a big problem.
When they're on the sofa, that's not sexual activity.
It's not sex.
I said sexual activity. That's not sexual activity when they're on the sofa.
I mean, they're making out, and she says, do you want to fuck me? I think they're getting to the sex.
Sexual activity, right on. And again, all this is fictitious. All this is Jiminy McVeigh. That's what I thought at the end of it. Like, wow. We got to humanize Tim McVeigh. And I thought that too, like, ooh-wee, I would love to be in OKC to have them see this film and see what they think about blonde white chick.
You also sound very moralistic, which is odd because I thought you were some kind of like more of a radical.
I have no idea what any of that is. See, they're radical.
Okay.
I can't get up. Hopefully I've been logical and accurate. Those are the goals. Those are words we use way more frequently than moral or radical. They got some Negro radical. Why is Timothy McVeigh radical? Is Terry Nichols radical?
I guess it depends what you think radical is.
Oh man, hard world out here. What is radical about Gus T? When you say you thought Gus was radical, what does that mean? What did you think was radical about Gus T and the cows specifically?
Well, I thought that you were taking on possibly race, like in a. I mean, obviously you dedicated your life to it. Seems like. Which is pretty radical, I would say. I mean, like, how long have you been doing this? For a long time?
16 years.
And before that?
Victim of white supremacy.
When was the
first program?
No, the first time you decided you were a victim.
Oh man, I had to get Mr. Fuller's terminology. They fuss at you if you say you're a victim. Like, wow, they get real upset about you about that sort of a thing. I have to make sure I get my question answered about this radical thing. Like, what exactly did I do? You listened to the program and your wife listened to the program. What did I do to be some sort of radical? Like, I've been doing this work for a long. How long have you been making films?
I take it back. If you're not a radical, I assume anyone who dedicated their life to something, with anything, I think that I would consider it would be some kind of radical, but maybe it's more square.
How long have you been making films?
I've been making films since. My first film, I think, was like 20 years ago, but there's many years in between each film, so.
Are you a radical? You've been dedicating your life 20, that's 2 decades?
No, actually, I'm not a radical at all. I mean, I actually think making films is actually pretty square. That's why I'm quitting.
Sitting with a microphone.
Super boring.
I sit with a microphone and say.
I think. Say what?
I sit with a microphone and say, reading is more important than watching television. Replace white supremacy with justice. And I'm a radical?
Well, I would say talking about reading at all is pretty radical because I don't think most people are reading. And if you don't think so, it's also fine. I mean, it's not better to be a radical. Also, radicalism is pretty dead. So, yeah. So maybe not. I don't know.
Fascinating.
I mean, do you find that insulting to be considered a radical?
I just note patterns where pretty consistently non-white people, victims of white supremacy, are labeled militant, radical, everything but a child of God. Individuals like Timothy McVeigh are not called radical. Frequently, they're not called militant. They're not even called racist. Staggering.
They're not called radical. I mean, you ever watch Rachel Maddow? They're called radical time.
She's about to get fired. You can look. I think they've had a number of reports, and DEI on out of there. I think they have a number of reports that talk about this beyond Timothy McVeigh in terms of white people don't get called terrorists. That even within this case specifically, when they came out, it was originally an act of terrorism because it was thought that it was non-white people. And then when it was, whoa, this is, and then even then they didn't say it was a white terrorist. They said, oh man, this was an American, a white terrorist, a white, and put the emphasis, this was a white, I heard some of the victims and they kept saying he was an American. I can't believe an American did this, a white person. And then even once you put the white on it, oh yeah, I can believe this. Eric Rudolph, I've seen this a bunch of times over. Columbine, I've seen this a bunch of times over. That's why we talk about this case here. What does it mean to be white? Tim McVeigh.
Who's Eric Rudolph? Who's Eric Rudolph?
That fellow asked about the research that you did for this here report. Eric Rudolph is the Olympic Centennial Bomber, 1996. He also was blowing up abortion clinics during the same time period. He also ended up out in Colorado. I mentioned that repeatedly, where they got all of these white bombermen. The late Ted Kaczynski ended up out there at that Supermax in Colorado at the same time with Timothy McVeigh. And then later on, when they finally caught Eric Rudolph, they got him too and dumped him out there. But what does it mean to be white? That's why I said, no, this is not surprising. This is not shocking. This is very common white behavior. That's just 3 in a long list. Well, that's more than 3 because I said Columbine. That's a twofer. Eric Harris, Dylan Klebold, and then all the rest. That's 5 actually. And then we didn't even get to January 6th. White culture, and white culture. And couldn't be done without white women, Jenny McVeigh, and she didn't even get a cameo in the film. Make sure our listeners that called in, did we miss anything? Victim 2979. Did you all have any other questions you want to get in before we let Mr. Ott and his wife enjoy the rest of their evening?
Yes, sir. I did have a question for the guests. I wanted to ask, you've been laughing quite a bit at a lot of the subject matter. I just want to know, did you find any of the, I guess, bombing and the issues funny?
I mean, I actually think that Gus T is charming and makes me smile. And life is short, and I like to laugh.
But do you find like topics that involve?
I mean, that's an absurd question. I mean, that's also an absurd question. Like, there's nothing funny about it, and sounds like something like Katie Couric would ask on a I Gotcha.
Was that someone laughing in the background?
Yeah, my wife was laughing. I mean, she grew up in Siberia, man. She's had a tough life. She's enjoying herself now.
Okay. Thank you, Gus. That's it.
Yeah.
Man, me and George Floyd, we need to move to Siberia, see if we get the same effect. Like, we complain, they'll hear us in Siberia, we'll just be chuckling all the time. Like, why y'all chuckling? Man, we were in the States, man. We had a tough life, man. I'm sorry?
Don't you think when it gets too serious, it becomes almost funny? Like when it gets absurdly serious? I always gotta give up.
I have no idea what that is. Absurdly serious. And in fact, I'd put it this way. I've not really seen an environment where people are absurdly serious about replacing white supremacy with justice. I have no idea what that. I would love to see that environment where, like, wow, it is no messing around. Everybody is quiet, scientific. We are going to get this problem solved immediately.
What do you do for fun? Are you always just talking? I mean, does this consume you? I mean, do you ever, like, have a good time?
What in the world? Wacky. Any hoodles. Did you all get the caller at 2979? Did you get your last question in, sir?
Just a couple. I'll try to be brief. I guess, is Timmy, would you consider Timothy McVeigh to be a racist? You can answer that yes or no.
Yes, sure.
Do you have a definition of racism?
A definition? I think I already said it at the beginning of the program.
Yeah, you're right about that. I guess I did have a comment, but I'm going to try and make it turn into a question. Do you feel that you were being defensive in your responses tonight?
My laughing?
No, really the entire interview, you feel you're being defensive with your responses, mannerisms, everything. I don't know.
Well, mannerisms you can't see, but I don't think so. But obviously you think so, I guess. Which part did you find I was being defensive? All of it?
I was just asking you about your interview.
Yeah, but I mean, you also you were listening and you noticed something, so I'm wondering what part I sounded defensive.
I'm not the one being interviewed, so I'm trying to get through my questions, so
okay.
Move on with it. The other question I had was about the sexual activity. So just to clarify, you don't consider kissing, dry humping as you described it, you don't consider that to be a part of sexual activity?
you consider someone making out to be sexual activity? That's pretty wild.
I was asking you a question, and you responded with a question.
And I'm also responding with a question. I mean, I'm trying to have a dialogue.
Again, I'm not the one being interviewed. So usually,
Then I'll answer. I absolutely not. I don't think making out is sexual activity.
Okay, so the answer is you don't consider dry humping, kissing to be part of sexual activity or defined as sexual activity.
I mean, I would have been very happy when I was young if that was sexual activity, because all I was doing was dry humping.
I can't get a straight answer, so I feel the conversation.
I do not think it's sexual.
I'm going to conclude my time on the asking or this part of the program.
Thank you for your question.
Thank you, Gus.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, much obliged for folks with their questions. Great questions. Appreciate it for the Ott household sharing a bit of their time and energy. Again, this broadcast is not intended for individuals classified as white. If anything, that's one thing I will make sure to say. I think I've been saying it more frequently, but man, have to make sure. Say that at the beginning of every program. Intended for non-white people. White people are not ignorant about racism. Timothy McVeigh, Andrew McDonald, Isolda, even the white people in Siberia, they are not ignorant about racism. Any hoodles. Much obliged to the Ott household. I'm gonna have to keep an eye out for the reviews to see how the response to the film. If you all find any Oklahoma reviews, I would love to read. What do they say? If they have an Oklahoma City Film Festival and you all go, man, I want to see the Q&A, anything. Yes, just keep me abreast as you all are going out and doing other interviews and such to see, what the public response is to Alfie's role and your product, especially the victims in OKC, the anniversary, or I won't say anniversary, but 30 years is coming up to the date. If you could keep me abreast, I would super appreciate it.
Absolutely. Sure. Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much, Gus.
Much obliged. Thank you for sharing the film. And yes, keep abreast, folks that are out there. See what the response is in your area. If, white people are saying this powerful film and all the rest of it. But the new film just out, McVeigh, in theaters. I think you can stream all the rest of it. We've been speaking with the writer and director, Mike Ott, not a German national, right here in California. I was duped. And then his wife, white wife, translucent, they say, all the way from Siberia. Isolda, I think I even got it correctly, Isolda Ott. She did the production, thank you, did the production on the film. They've been chatting it up with us this evening. Thank you both. Enjoyed it. We will keep an eye out for future projects.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Context of White Supremacy. Known universe. We'll take a quick break. Oh, I wish I had brought the audio segment. I mentioned, because there's so many, it's 168 victims. So, I mean, you can play clips all days of victims from Oklahoma City. But the other, never mind. Got it. We'll take a quick commercial break. We will be right back. Context of White Supremacy, intended for non-white people, victims of white supremacy.
We play too much. Play. Everything is a movie scene.
Very serious
about nothing.
About not being very serious.
My life has changed since the bombing. To me, I don't have a life. My life for the last 2.5 years have been spent from one courtroom to the other one, moving out of my apartment, trying to find myself for a long time, trying to go on with my life before I realized that that life then is gone and this is a new life. So now I refer to before April 19th as my other life. It's two different lives. And I'm still scared because I don't know what's going to happen after this is over.
Absolutely. Context of white supremacy. I'm looking at the Apple podcast. If you are looking for the Cows Archives, 16 years of broadcasting. So it says very top of the page, live broadcast, has the link. It says engineered for non-white people, victims of racism, white supremacy. And I did not add that this week, last year. I don't even think I added that in the last 5 years. That's been up for a long time. And I've even increasingly been saying it with an attitude because we have victims of racism that have white friends. Have white friends. And they'll listen to the Cows and then they want to go and share the program with their white friends. Think it'll correct their behavior. Anyway, engineered for non-white people. If you have white friends, I'm not really sure why you are listening to the Context of White Supremacy. But either way, engineered for non-white people, victims of white supremacy. That right there, I'd pick one at the beginning and one at the end. I'll do the reverse at the end. And he said, are you serious all the time? Do you do things for fun? That right there, we are talking about Timothy McVeigh, which I think I said a lot in the program. Like, we were talking about zucchinis or something else. Like, oh yeah, we Cat Williams this thing up, man. He can chuck and all this, but I mean, I thought we were done. Is this April? It's 168 people. It's 168 people. It's 168 people got killed in that bombing. 19 of them children. White people do not care about children. And that 168 is like a failure because Tim say, I was trying to take the whole building down. I only got a third of it. So, I mean, it should have been way more. I was trying to take the whole building down. I thought that's something you're supposed to be serious about, really. Anytime we talk about racism, white supremacy, that's supposed to be serious. And I would pick out this program specifically. Racism is not an American problem. And I never say that. My definition doesn't say that. Like, that is one of the ways that white people cause just astronomical confusion amongst non-white people, getting us tied to thinking of a specific isolated geographic location, that racism is just a problem for you niggers here in the States, or it's just a problem in South Africa, or wherever, the little chunk of the region, as opposed to, wait a minute, what I said about Soundtrack to Coup d'etat, what did I like about that film so much? This film shows how white people all around the world coordinated to assassinate Patrice Lumumba and then lied about having done so. Global system. And for this program specifically, codification, man. So global system, you should be prepared. Really, if it's a non-white person or a white person, they break bad and get around. What you mean global system? Because I've had people do that before. What you mean global system? What you mean white people dominate the whole world? Now it came up today. Known universe. I don't even think we got that one. You should have all that lockstep. I dare somebody. What? What you mean racism is known universe? What you talking about? As if you asked a stupid question by saying that. Now, I would be more patient. If it was a non-white person, But I want you to ask me that question so I can respond like you asked me a stupid question, especially if I'm talking to somebody white. You know better than I do world nigger law. Are you talking to me like there's someplace on this planet that I can go and I'm not going to be George Floyd? Forget this program right now. Let's just go. We ain't got to have no further conversation about racism. Y'all had all them ship the niggers off to wherever. Ship us off. We ain't got to have no conversation. You know that ain't so. Why are you talking to me like I'm some ignorant coon? Like I said, now, if it's a non-white person and they say that, that's why I'm estranged from y'all. Maybe I'm going to be patient, but a lot of y'all get rowdy and that, well, we ain't got nothing else to talk about then. VGQ. But for a white person, no universe. I ain't seen Elon Musk. Y'all talking about, he mentioned Elon Musk for the libtard. What Fuller say? The masters of name calling are classified as white. Coon, jigaboo, sambo, nigger, libtard. We run them. We got them all. We got them and more coming. You think you got something with the dozens? Psh, psh. Libtard, you right on out of here. They libtard other white people. You know that, see, people classified as white champions of name calling, when you start getting in and digging in on what you mean when you call me nigger, what does that mean? What you mean when you say libtard? What does that mean? Whoa. Wait a minute now. You know what a nigger, whoa. You know what Sambo is. Wait a minute. You know what a libtard is. See, they don't even want to explain it. Anyway, don't act like I ain't seen Elon Musk. Space Station X. We can't even get out to Mars and get away from the racism. Known universe. And they make movies about that. You've been making films. Y'all make movies about going out into space. We find any dark people out here, we're going to get them too. James Earl Jones, we miss you, my black brother. Now, then we got to the beginning of the program. We started off with the same thing with racism. It was the same thing with racism. We get a definition. Whew, that's narcissism. Like, what? What? You did a whole movie about Timothy McVeigh? You should have like a scientific... Ooh, we went to the white privilege conference and we went and got serious about this thing. Man, Timothy McVeigh? We went and took a course on the Turner Diaries and all that. Anyway, the wife, Isolda, who he said she had been listening to the program intended for non-white people doing recon, said she's translucent. Now she's been in California. Dr. Welsing, what in the world? What in the world? And then even the passage that I read where the tanning comes up in there too. Fortenay's wife, white wife, he ended up testifying against McVeigh. What then, even to suggest, so we could pack up and go to Russia and wouldn't be no racism? We just get to Moscow and everything gonna be good? Minister Malcolm talked about this over 60 years ago. He did not conclude, hey man, these Russian white folks, they are all right. When he got to the end, he said, hey, not all these white people are devils. He was not talking about no cruise ship. We just get out here to Siberia, you know, we pack warm and get us some long underdraws, man, and we gonna be all right, man. These some good white brothers out here, good white sisters, see? I ain't heard that. I ain't heard that at all. Nothing even close. In fact, when I mentioned it, all we got was snickering. We didn't even get no, you right, Brother Gus, you right. Ain't no racism out here, man. Come on. Come on. Matter of fact, we heard some of this. Rewind to a different, this whole month is bomber. Man, I was even a little bit annoyed about that when I mentioned Eric Rudolph and he said, who is that? That's what I expect from niggers. You did a whole movie about Timothy McVeigh. You did a whole movie about Tim McVeigh and you don't know who Eric Rudolph is? Whew. Man, I would love to see this film screened in OKC. Like, what do you all think of this film? And Cindy, the fictionalized blonde white woman with the dry humping, what do you all think of this film? Whew. If you don't know who Eric Rudolph is, Centennial Park bombing, they got whole books and all this. That's the whole night. I mean, just even look at that. What does it mean to be white? You got the Unabomber and Ted Kaczynski, and they're even competing with each other. This is written out. They got books and newspaper articles about this. Ted Kaczynski mad. Look in the newspaper. That white man is stealing my shine. I'm going to show him pow, 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 and I'm going to do my own bomb. Pew, pew, pew. I'm going to show him you don't do it like me. What does it mean to be white? And even geographically, Fort Benning, that's Eric Rudolph in Georgia. Fort Benning, that's Joey 22, who ended up Buffalo. Even all that, Joey 22 from Buffalo, Tim McVeigh, Pendleton, New York, right outside of Buffalo. And they both end up at Fort Benning. And Eric Rudolph. And it was reported the Columbine cowards, they were looking at information from Fort Benning too. And then you have Eric Rudolph and McVeigh and Kaczynski all eventually end up in Colorado, Supermax. I said, that's what Colorado must mean. Land of real dangerous race soldiers. That's what it means. Columbine, all that. But that stuck out to like, man, y'all don't know what kind of, y'all had 7 years to do this, and dang, I mean, I know Eric Rudolph isn't in the film, O.J. Simpson isn't in the film, but that's important context. This is 1 year before Eric Rudolph blew the Olympics off. And it's the same people, same ilk, same, what does it mean to be white? Sheesh. Anyway, reading, and this, I cannot say enough. This is why you cannot just go watch movies, even the documentaries, and just, I'm informed. I know about this case because I watched, McVeigh, so I know about the OKC bombing. What are you talking about, Tim, and the tryst he had with that young blonde? I don't know why he couldn't make things work with Cindy. What? Who? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Who is Cindy? Get you, not that the books tell you the truth every time, too. I mean, whole system is about lies, but I mean, for real, the caller who asked, he said, are there citations in the movie? He said, what? Citations? What are you talking about? No, it's fictional. Who's citations? That's boring. He said, oh, okay. That's not what this is at all. Even though you can watch fictional films, Spike Lee's Malcolm X, for example, when you get to the end, he does put up, hey, this was based on Malcolm X's autobiography, and I think he talks about other sources as well. For Oliver Stone's JFK, he testified at Congress today, just before we went live, about the recent release of all those files. If you watch his film JFK, when you get to the end, that is a fictional film, but they do cite authentic books, nonfiction, where you can go and do more research about this case. So that does happen frequently. I don't think that's here. Reading is more important than watching television. And I'm glad I got that, because he said that came from his imagination about this blonde character. When I sat down to watch this, I was looking for Jenny McVeigh, man. When we read about this, like I said, you got a white chick, she didn't watch it. She said, I got the sense. I knew when this happened, Timmy was involved. Like, I know my brother. We got that same genetic material. I know this got Timmy's fingerprints all over it. And she didn't want to help. They got the strong arm. Oh, Jenny, you gonna snitch. Look at that. Look at that. They got to put the pictures of the dead babies out there. Look at this. You gonna aid and abet killing 19 children? Jenny said, I don't snitch. Wait a minute. I said, wait wait a minute, Jenny. Hey, they killed 168 people. He killed all these white people. You got to, come on, Jenny. Jenny said, snitches get stitches. They say, man, you gonna get convicted. How about that? And then she said, okay, I'll go ahead and ride on him. But they got to do all this arm twisting. He done killed 168 people, and you acting like you believe in this too. Now she teaching school. That I thought was interesting. That I thought, hey, put that in the film. Jenny ain't nowhere in the movie. Can I get one more for the blonde? I maybe would not have paid attention to that before, the hair thing. But one, that is beauty con game, Pamela Evans Harris, right? Dr. Welsing, she talked about that too. And most of the people on the planet don't have blonde hair. Most of the people on the planet are not white. So that should kind of stick out as, whoa, we kind of drifting off into albinism here. Like, what's all this blonde? All of the white chicks who get to talk for a length of time in this film are blonde. That shouldn't be on a planet where most people are not blonde. Certainly not naturally. No way. No way. We ain't got that many albinos running around here. What's all this blonde? And then it's whole fictional characters who gotta be blonde. Come on now. Come on now. I'd even have to watch this again slow. Are there any non-blonde characters who get lengthy times to talk? There's a white woman who's going to sell them materials for the blonde. She's there briefly. And she's older, gray hair, so she could have been blonde in her younger days. We don't know, but at least she's not blonde now. But she's there briefly. We got the chick in the scene where Tim is going to have the brawl. I told you it's really dark, so you can barely really see. We don't know. We put an asterisk there. But the people that, white women, who really get to sit on the screen for a moment and talk, they are overwhelmingly albino hair, pale, blonde, white women. Let's translucent. Those are the characteristics that you're supposed to worship and be, and really that's what they were talking about. That's Elohim. That's the religion of white supremacy. We want that Aryan look, that albinoid look. That's what we say is the pinnacle of white beauty. Even more so because he said he let Cindy pick her own hair color. That's Ashley Benson. She chose blonde. Of course. And even when she's not on set, it looks like she still picks blonde. So, hey, I don't even have to do that much changing of things. It's, consistent. What does it mean to be white? I would say this interview would have been way different if I had not read Mr. Gumbel's book. And if we had not done Columbine, because I think Columbine is what pulled in just the dates. You got, let me see how many can I do for April? So you got Hitler's birthday, but it's beyond that. That's April 20. So you got Columbine. That's April 20. That was supposed to be April 19 for all of this. Timothy McVeigh, OK City. Waco would be the rewind all the way back to 1993 down in Texas. That's 2 times for white people do not care about children. Dave Koresh down there accused of molesting all them children, and they don't even bring that up. They don't come out and say all the QAnon and they got the conspiracy and they're raping babies. How did Waco become cause celeb and Dave Koresh, and they got video of him in there molesting all these children? And I love me some Dave Koresh. Trampled on my white brother's rights. Come on. Boston Marathon bombers, really, that's what reminded me of that part of the world. We talked about that case. The Tsarnaev brothers, we had that whole program that they are Caucasian, not white. That's the same geographic region of the known universe. We talked about that in great detail, but that I think is, April 15, Boston, do the bombing. You just it's the whole month of April is just lit up. White people, bomb, 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 boom, 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 boom. That, I would say Boston, now that response to racism, white supremacy, we talked about that in detail in saying that they, Caucasian, not white, That's why they did this. But even the timing for them, we're going to do this on April 15th, right in line with all the other terrorist acts. I think that list is even longer than that for activities that are specifically in the month of April. Wow. But this program would have sounded way different. They could have totally duped me and had me think like, wow, I loved it and learned so much. And it was so gripping. Like, man, the more like, what? Who is Cindy? Where is Denny McVeigh? What? Yeah. I would love to know what they thought about this film in OKC. Love to know what they thought about this film in OKC. Anywho, let's see. The folks who dialed in loved the questions about the research. Great questions. Don't know if they got to see the film or not. Let me make sure I didn't miss any of my other tidbits from the chat. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not even sure what was the motivation to make this film. Like, I really have to think about it. Like, was this a cash grab? Like, they do not strike me as like we were just really interested in this story. Like, not at all. It doesn't seem like, we really got to go and research everything about this and blah, blah, blah. Like, why did they make this film? I'm going to have to sit and think about that. I can't think about it too long, but because I don't think the answer will help us replace white supremacy with justice. But why did they make this film? Humanize Tim McVeigh? Racial theater? I'm going to have to think about it. Those would be two that would come to mind. Racial theater, just making entertainment out of racism, white supremacy, and the suffering of non-white people. And then humanizing Tim McVeigh so he can have his sex scenes and dating and bring a bouquet of flowers and that sort of thing. Humanize Tim McVeigh? I don't know. I'd have to say I would love to know the people in Oklahoma City, what do they think after they see this film? And then particularly the more informed you are about this case, what do you think about this film? I told you, because a lot of times they can get you when they do, just like with O.J. Simpson, they did those old lame 8-hour, and those were documentaries. Those weren't even fictional, put in quotes, but they do those old lame documentaries where they wait 25 years. Either you got a whole new generation of people, this happened before they were born, or you got people where I've been doing fentanyl and Mad Dog, so I don't remember none of this stuff from 30 years ago. I forgot all of it. If I paid attention to it to begin with, I forgot all of that by now. So they get lots of folks that way. They can just come and make up whatever they want to, and I saw it on, Netflix movies. That's, it's got to be the truth. Tim was out there dating Cindy. It fell apart. He never recovered after Cindy, man. Cindy left him, and he just couldn't get right after that. Like, what? Come on. Anyway, let's see, folks who have comments. Serious. Make sure I get that in. Being serious. Dr. Kanban talked about that, the importance of being serious. Mr. Fuller, we are serious about things that are silly. We are silly about things that are serious. Being serious is so important. I do snicker from time to time. The goal is to be universal man, universal woman, to certainly be serious when we are talking about white supremacy, racism. I can't think of a subject matter that is more serious than the Oklahoma City bombing. I thought that's serious, right? Man, all that death and children and blood in the street. I thought that's super serious. You got a death penalty case? That's serious, right? What are we supposed to be snickering and joking about that? That right there. White people do not want non-white people to be serious about replacing white supremacy with justice. You can be Cat Williams and maybe say one or two things about racism. You can be Richard Pryor, say one or two things about racism. You are not supposed to be Francis Cress Welsing. I am an MD scientist, and I'm here to talk about racism and to solve this problem immediately. That is not supposed to be us. White people do not want that. Serious black. Whoa. Whoa. That's what we need to be. Super duper serious. Get this here problem solved immediately. Immediately. Tim McVeigh, serious. Tim McVeigh, I'm not even out wasting time looking at me no young blonde thing mess around with. Alfred P. Murrah building. Y'all ain't even gonna get to lunch, buddy. Serious. Let's see. Folks have a thought to share before we wrap things up. We'll be here on Thursday, neutralizing workplace racism, and we should be just for once a tink early. So it should be 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. Do our whole broadcast that way I can get on with my Thursday evening. But Thursday, 1 hour early just for this week, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, Sheena Scarborough, 4 p.m. Pacific. Still doing the program just 1 hour early. I'll make sure to have reminders on social media 1 hour early for neutralizing workplace racism this Thursday. Normal time for the book club Friday and the compensatory call-in, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Just this week, one time, 1 hour early, just this Thursday. Thank you kindly. Folks who dialed in, if you have commentary to share, line should be open. Irie should be with us, 2979. I guess we'll nab Irie since she didn't get to chat or ask a question. Irie, did you have commentary to share?
Yes, thank you for letting me taking the call. So I got it I started listening late, and I wasn't going to ask or say anything, but then once one of the callers kept questioning about the snickering, it kind of irritated me, and I remembered that I actually had a relative that died in that. I didn't know her, but someone pointed her out, was like, oh yeah, this person, she's your whatever cousin by way of this person, and she died in the building. And I was like, upset because I knew what happened, and that event kind of shook my consciousness because I was a child when it happened, and that's when I was beginning to understand that there was a system of racism, white supremacy, even though I couldn't name it. So ultimately, I'm saying all that to say, I share similar questions. Why was the movie made? And I was wondering if anybody asked the gentleman where he was going, if he was going to be streaming or where he was going to be streaming, because ultimately, to your point you were making, Gus, I think this is an act of racist, what you called it, I can't remember. They call it fan fiction as well, where they take people, whatever they are, and they keep expanding on either fictional characters and make more fiction that they would like to see out of it, or they take real people as well and give them imaginary, like day in the lives type fiction, and they heroize almost the person. They make the person a protagonist, if that makes sense. So that's what I think it is. I think it's racist fan fiction and a money grab. But I don't know because I didn't hear the program. So that's what I wanted to add. And rest in peace to the victims of racism, white supremacy, by way of Timothy McVeigh and his racist collaborators.
168 victims in that event. Racial theater is the term that I use, but that is a good point. They do have a lot of fan fiction, as she termed it. That, man, Columbine and Dylan, a lot of the people that I just mentioned, everybody I just mentioned, I think Ted Kaczynski, Dylan Roof, Peyton Gendron, this coward Tim McVeigh, Eric Rudolph. I don't hear Eric Rudolph as much, but, you know, everybody, I think every single person that all white. That's very, and matter of fact, Gus T, what did you miss him? Milwaukee. Why you going to Milwaukee? Sade Robinson, but that is Jeff Dahmer. They did the same thing. They got comic books and all that old nonsense. Poor Jeff. Maybe they got him a fictional Cindy too. We get him a little white woman. And, oh man, we got him a little girlfriend, and Jeff would have behaved, and he wouldn't have chomped on all them black people in Milwaukee. Anyway, and that's 168 people. Man, that is such a massive. I'm not surprised at all that we got somebody who's like, man, I lost a relative. That is a massive number of people. Something worthy of being serious. Much obliged, Irie. Let's see. Retired firefighter in Florida with us. Oh, and this, I guess before, this is supposed to be in theaters. This film I'm talking about, McVeigh, that's the title. It's supposed to be in theaters, streaming. Can I see this at the theater in Washington? Let me see. Is this playing at the theater here? Let's see. Can I go see this? So you can stream it. Is it at the theater here? It might be one of those where they hid it from us, because this happened with The Order. We were trying to see, or I was trying to see The Order at the theater here, and I think some of the listeners were as well, and nah. They did not play, which I was horrified about, because I saw that at the film festival, and I thought it was so good. Let's see, is this, it looks like maybe it's not at the theater like that. Like, dang. Y'all have to see if you can, it's only available at home. Oh, see there? Now, The Order, I thought that was better than this film. Both about the same type of thing. I thought that was well done. That was very high praise at the AFI festival that I attended, and then at the Italian Film Festival earlier last year. They did the same thing. Not widespread. See, that even goes to Ari's point. If it's a money grab, you want it to be in the theaters, right? So everybody can go out and see it and blah, 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 and all that. I mean, I guess you could still do well at streaming, but I would at least want both. That didn't happen with The Order, and I guess you all can let me know, but it looks like at least here, no. Washington State, the only way you can see McVeigh, online. Retired firefighter in Florida. Chef Commentary should be with us.
Greetings, everyone. The guests this evening, according to my thoughts, really don't seem to have taken the movie that they created, the very nature of the movie that they created. They don't seem to take it serious. It seems like it's just a business thing that they did with this movie that they created. Just by me hearing the broadcast this evening, and the laughter, the commentary by the wife, and him, he just sounded too cavalier, during the process for something that was so hideous that took place. I've said it on the program. I actually been to that site because I go to Oklahoma probably about once a year because the college that I went to is 50 miles away from Oklahoma City, and I did go by there and take pictures. Of course the building is not there, but they have different monuments and the remains of what is left of the tragedy that took place there. And his tone, his entire tone, and the wife with the giggling, It just really was very inappropriate, for something that was that tragic. And like you said, 160 some odd children were murdered in that building. Also, it's such a huge tragedy for him and the wife to present themselves in that way in the interview. Those are my thoughts.
Much obliged, retired firefighter in Florida. The museum, I have not visited the museum in the Oklahoma City area, but I have been told that it is quite impactful. Even Cal's listeners who have gone like within the last year or so have said that it, had a big impact. Obviously, all of that is monument to an event of white terrorism. So lots of reason. I mean, you talk about study and trips and such. That would certainly be one. If you're going to be in the Oklahoma City area, swing by and, take some pictures, maybe sit. You can meditate quietly. 168 people died, 19 children, lots of non-white people, and I mean like hundreds of people who were injured. Like they survived, but they ended up having really serious injuries and all the PTSD and all the rest of it. Just and even I played that intro at the beginning, Mrs. Coverdale, and she passed away. And I even have to go back and check to make sure, was she pen pals with Terry Nichols? And even if she was, that, totally fine. I know some of these folks said that they wanted to talk to these individuals because they wanted information about who else participated in these bombings, which, right on. But yeah, we have to verify to make sure that, she actually was one of those who communed with these folks. That notwithstanding, I agree with the tone of the folks, especially for the subject matter. And I think I, made an effort to emphasize that going all the way back in terms of definition of racism. So we should be serious. I mean, we should, and this is why we need a serious definition of racism, because, hey, this Oklahoma City bombing, this is what the system of white supremacy racism is designed to produce. That's why I say this is not no isolated event. Eric Rudolph, Columbine. Really, when we talked about Columbine, it was emphasizing that this was a failed bombing. I did not understand that until we had to go read. That's another one where TV will fail you. Bowling for Columbine don't talk about this as a failed bombing. Gun control. No. This is a failed bombing. Columbine. And them saying specifically, we gonna outdo Tim. He ain't even do it right. He only killed 168 people. We gonna kill 500. Easy. That's white culture. Make a game out of killing people. We gonna, Brett, that's how we get our thrill. That's how I show I'm a man. I'm a woman. We go out here and do some killing. So how many people we can kill? We can blow up the whole school. Blow up the whole federal building. Just like they said in Turner Diaries. What does it mean to be white? That's matter of fact, we were reading Andrew Gumbel. We didn't read, well, I read that, but he came as a guest on the program. We were reading Columbine, talking about all of this in the summer of 2023. That's when Oppenheimer came out. Bomber, man. I got to brag. We're going to blow up the whole world. And the racism, because that was on Japs. What does it mean to be white? The caller at 2979. Did you have commentary? I think you were able to get in a few questions.
Yeah. So I just have a couple of comments. I think, well, I know, I guess it's an assumption. I believe the guest came on tonight, and I know the guest came on tonight, to waste non-white people's time. I felt the racist suspect was very, I guess, defensive, but really practicing racism by some of the responses to some of the responses to your questions, everybody's questions tonight. I think in particular, I couldn't imagine asking, with the response talking about or responding saying, use your imagination for some of this stuff. I just couldn't imagine being on the job, and I largely say that because I would assume, and again, it's an assumption I should have asked directly, whether making films that's your job, that's what you do for work, could be a hobby. I don't know, but to interpret the character, Timothy McVeigh in your film, how did you interpret that person? I haven't seen the film, so I'm just kind of asking questions to understand more about the racist suspect tonight and, their views about their film. And, responding by using your imagination. I couldn't fathom doing that anywhere, especially not on the job, at least on my job. So, and also with wasting non-white people's time, I think also, I know deliberately, by refusing to a lot of those questions, just the responses I'll say were, it seemed to me deliberately not sharing information and or lying, which is basically the same thing, both acts of racism. I know to be acts of racism, and I think this. Oh, and I guess I just wanted to throw out a general suggestion also with, about getting the view's opinion about getting the OKC opinion on the film. If possibly having it maybe at the public library. I see a lot of those watch parties. I get emails for them. So if somebody is saying it for the record, if somebody knows somebody in OKC, I can also, it may be a good idea to play that, see if you could get into the public library, which I doubt I'd be interested to know whether they would or not. If I'm ever in OKC, I'll attempt it. And then also kind of with the questions, some of the following questions from the callers tonight. I wonder about the intentions of fictionalizing Timothy McVeigh. Making fan fiction or making a fictional film or documentary about Timothy McVeigh. The intentions about that. Again, another question I probably should have asked the racist suspect tonight, but that came up post interview. I'll just kind of end it there. But thanks for taking my call. Thanks for allowing me to have further comments also.
Much obliged. Our caller, pardon, 2979. The fan fiction, like kind of getting at why did they release this film? What was their purpose? This film, at least Internet Movie Database, says it was released March 21st. Now, if it was that date exactly or day before, day off, whatever. But it's listed as March 21st. It reminded me, Milwaukee, that Netflix mega series. I don't remember. I didn't watch it, so I know it's more than one episode. But that series that was released at, I think, like autumn, and I think it was released right at the beginning of autumn, right for Halloween. I think that was 2023, if memory serves. I think that was 2023 when all that came out. And we said then it was for the equinox. That's what, it seemed to be. Or if it was 2022, I might be a year off. But it came out for the equinox when we're transitioning to fall. And we said that, hey, the system of white supremacy, it has a lot of occult aspects. And, hey, we might have to do some sort of racist ritual that sort of thing, or invoking Timothy McVeigh. And a lot of that was in Jonestown, where they, had satanic books and a cult. And even that's in Nazi Germany. The black occult and black magic, that one came out in Jonestown, that a lot of that was in Nazi Germany too. And so we were saying that might be a part of the reasoning for why they released that Dahmer series at that time with the season change. Same thing here. This film is coming out, seasonal change, March 21, as we're transitioning to spring, and at a time where the same sentiments that Tim McVeigh had, that the government is messing me over and messing over my life and ruining it. Like, that is a widespread thought amongst many, many white people now. So, yeah, why is this film being released? Fictionalized Tim McVeigh. And this film, it doesn't, as they said, it doesn't show the victims. Oh, let me make sure. Did you say 2979? Were you saying we should get this film in the library? Was that what you were saying? I just trying to make sure I heard it correctly. Were you saying we should try to get this film at the library so people can see it, like study, or were you talking about trying to get something else at the library for a watch party?
The film.
Okay, gotcha. They might, I don't know. It'd probably be rated R. It's got like profanity and that dry humping scene. Dry humping is not sexual activity? Like, anyway, it's probably rated R, so I don't know. That might be some difficulty, They don't want to show all that in front of little people, but yeah, you could ask. Hey, this is the time, right? I'm sorry.
I actually did not realize it was rated R, even though the sexual activity. I don't know why that left my mind. Why I forgot about that. But with that being said, I think it's totally inappropriate for the library. So I think of some other ways to possibly get that OKC opinion, because that's something that came up, and I think I'm personally interested to know, their thoughts on the film.
I read some of the opinions on Internet Movie Database, but I'm gonna have to check like some of the newspapers and such in their area. I would love to know what they think about this film. And because now it does have clips like the very, very end of the movie, like basically, or it's literally right before the credits roll, they show like a 60-second flash of news clips, of just quick blurbs of the bombing scene and some of the victims' bodies being taken out, and McVeigh in handcuffs, and him giving an interview before he is given the death sentence. Like, all this is just kind of a quick blur. And then they go to the credits. But there are none of the victims, none of that. The bombing is not fictionalized. The entire film is just Tim McVeigh building this bomb, Terry Nichols. That's basically it. Them going to Elohim. But most of it is just Tim McVeigh and the build-up, him building this bomb and leading up to it. And fictional, quite a bit. Like I said, Cindy and going out on a date with this blonde white chick at the gun range. Like, what? Man, I would love to know what the people in OKC think about this film. Anywho, but the fictional, that as well, like, that is a massive audience, and it's worldwide in terms of white people, because we talked about that group 764 on the compensatory call-in this past weekend, and they were talking about this online group, and they were saying that the racists, the more violent, and they particularly had a fascination with mass casualty event. There you go. Mass casualty events. I could see those types of would love something like this. And they might even say, I think I even saw that in some of the reviews where they said, I love this film. There's no judgment. It's just presenting the characters. And I had to think about that. I was like, no judgment? What do you mean no this dude killed 168 people, 19 children. What do you mean? Well, I just, it's no judgment. I just wanted to, just looking at old Tim. Like, what? Even Richard Wayne Snell, since he's fictionalized that's a real person, but he's portrayed in the film, this dude killed a state trooper. We're going to forget the fact that he's Negro because, even some black people don't like black police officers. So, but he killed a state trooper. They make laws about that. Blue lives matter. Ain't that so? You get enhanced sentencing. You go out and kill a police officer. They got my man, Richard Wayne Snell, fictionalized in the film. Dang. Okay. And that's an important part of the story, for sure. McVeigh was influenced. We talked about that. But I mean, wow. I could for sure see a lot of white people identify. Yes. I told you, Reb, Vodka, they identified with McVeigh. They didn't even need a movie. They just read and saw this on TV. Said, yeah, that's what they do. We're going to build some pipe bombs. Bang. Blow up the neighborhood. Terrorize everybody in the neighborhood. And then, you know what? We're going to beat McVeigh said he won with 168. We finna murder them. We're going to kill about 500-600 of them. Blow up the whole town. Any reading more important than watching television? Way more important. Way more important. Be here, I said, neutralizing workplace racism 1 hour early, Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Pacific. And then, I did it wrong. It's 7 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, and 4 p.m. Pacific. 1 hour early. There we go. That's just for Thursday. And then Friday, normal, back to normal. 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Same thing. Compensatory call-in on Saturday. I will say, since Dahmer came up, and organically so in a couple ways today, he's right there. They got those they got years, like they got lots and lots of this fan fiction, racial theater with Jeffrey Dahmer, because they got comic books, probably got video games, and all of it. Go and Delectable Negro and snack on the black people. Even, matter of fact, Delectable Negro. Jeff Dahmer, his last meal, not Jeff Dahmer, my man Tim McVeigh, his last meal, mint chocolate chip. Come on, that's Dahmer working at the chocolate factory. Anyway, getting myself together to get on to Milwaukee, Sade Robinson murder trial. Whew. Did I get a message from the creator? Now, I go put in my requests. I get my documents from the Milwaukee courthouse for the trial. Now, that was not cool either, to get all of the details for the case, to get the actual court records where you can get a lot of, specific details about the case. Like, that's so grisly, I didn't even want to, I haven't even been able to bring myself to read all of it, because, man. Anyway, but getting all those details and trying to get prepped for all that. Looking forward, even though it is very stressful traveling as a victim of white supremacy. But, wow. You talk about signal from the creator. I go to store I shop in on a regular basis. Non-white female, non-white, non-black female. She had just went overseas, so-called Philippines, and she brought me back 2 bracelets from her trip. She had told me, I'll bring you back something. I talk to her all the time at the store. She is married. So I don't think she's, trying to flirt on the sly. But she's this non-white person. She says she tries to encourage other non-white people to come to the store to shop. They have lots of healthy tidbits, no Cheetos, great organic produce. So I'm going by the store yesterday quickly, get my organic mangoes, and I had my bracelets on. So I said, oh, I can show her. I did actually wear the bracelets. They are being used. So I'm going to show the bracelets. And she's so pleased, like, oh, right on, you're actually wearing them. That's great. She says, are they bringing you good luck? Now, I'm not a person that's into luck per se. As a victim of white supremacy, how lucky can I be? So I go to respond because I don't really, talk about luck very often or libtards. And I say, well, I have to, if I get back from Milwaukee safely, I will let you know. Maybe they help keep me safe. And she said, Milwaukee? You were born in Milwaukee? I said, oh, God, no. Jesus Christ. Like, Dahmer would have ate me, too. No. She said, oh, I thought you would have told me that. She said, I'm from Milwaukee. She said, I'm from Milwaukee. And I said, no way. Because I thought she just said she went to the Philippines. And she said, well, my mom is Filipino. My dad is Mexican. Now, you all can process that however you Definitely not classified as black. Also, definitely way too much melanin to be a white person. Not even close. Darker than Obama. Black it were. I guess not black. Brown stick around, maybe, but definitely not white. Anyway, so she says, mom Filipino, dad so-called Mexican, me, Milwaukee. Wacky. So I'm like, oh, okay. Milwaukee? Well. And so she's, yes, I'm thinking about going back, and blah, blah, blah. She's telling me about the black people there, and wow, she says Milwaukee is super segregated. I mean, wow, they stick all of the brothers over in the corner, and woof, they just, and I'm like, yes, black, get back. And she said, but they do have the Black Holocaust Museum, and this is a really important site from the Great Migration. Like, oh, yeah, with Isabel Wilkerson, blah, blah. And so she's telling me about specific areas in Milwaukee to go to. I'm like, oh, this is great, because I didn't know about the Holocaust Museum. So I said, oh, I'll write that down. Any place else you think I should go check out? She said, oh, yeah, go over here. She was telling me about a specific park and Harambe neighborhood. There's a lot of black people there. She said, but now they do lean hard on the black people, meaning they super mistreat them and cordon them off into areas and everything. And I said, wait a minute. Were you in Milwaukee when Dahmer was happening? She said, yes. I was really young then, but yes, I was there. And that's what I just told you. They put all those black people in the corner and everything. That's why Dahmer was able to go out and be chomping on black people and go in front of it. I said, yes, yes. Anyway, though, but this turned into this massive conversation. And in fact, cherry on top, you can say, I mentioned going to, she says, why are you going to Milwaukee? And I said, Sade Robinson. She knew who Sade Robinson was. Wacky. Not even classified as black. Real talk. That's like a first that I've talked to someone and they knew who Sade Robinson was. Now, I guess you could say that's kind of cheating since they have Milwaukee connections, so maybe they check Milwaukee news a little bit more often than the rest of us. But hey, she did know. Oh yes, Sade Robinson. Didn't she get killed recently? I said, yes. Yes, she did. Anyway, signal from, that's how I took it. Signal from the creator, someone I've been talking to all this time, and just put these bracelets on my wrist. And she is from Milwaukee saying, yes, Milwaukee, you should go. And I got the court record, so now I can be informed. And the other thing, they sent me like the listing of all of the public documents for this case. I said, oh, I can at least check if Miss Scarborough, like I can give this to her so she can check it if she missed anything. And then if she wants them, I should be able to get that pretty easy, make sure, she has everything she wants. So trying to get my mind ready, but woof, I am looking forward to hopefully being able to do constructive work. But man, I am not excited about going to Milwaukee. Ick. Dahmer. In fact, not even calling it Milwaukee no more. Dahmerland. I am not excited about going to, then much less for like 3 weeks in Dahmerland. Ick. other folks have commentary before we wrap? Victim times 3. He, I think, did get in the question component. Do you have commentary before we wrap things up?
Yes, sir. May I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. First I'll address the question you posed for the blonde female in the movie. I was thinking that, well, since I'm not too sure, but I think Timothy McVeigh did not produce a child. Maybe that was the producer's way of signaling or dog whistling, well, that's a metaphor, to other races if you're going to engage something that will cost your life, to at least attempt to replenish the lowering numbers of suspected races. That's what I was thinking. The wife, I believe she spoke for a brief bit on the broadcast, and it didn't surprise me, but it was very alerting that she is a, I guess, casual listener to the cows. I thought that was really interesting. Also, she said that she is quote unquote translucent white, whatever that means. I did also, when I asked him about all the laughing and stuff like that, I should have also asked him, because it was displayed here in his replies. He was very vulgar, but I guess we should expect that from racists. I thought it was just completely tacky how he, I guess, asked you, Gus, that, hey, so what do you do for quote-unquote fun after we just talked about the system of racism, white supremacy? We talked about the definition. And somehow of course, racists will try to deflect into other things. And yeah, I also thought it was noteworthy that when you asked the quote-unquote, or the wife about your definition, that she feigned that she didn't understand or was unclear about what racism is, and the lies about quote-unquote Russia not experiencing racism. If I remember correctly, the person that is responsible for the Russian language or modern Russian language is a black person. And I spoke to other people from Russia. They don't even acknowledge that this person is black, Alexander Pushkin. He didn't really answer my question about the how should black people or non-white people feel. He deflected and just asked, how they should feel, or said they should feel however they want to feel about it. I mean, you make a depiction of someone who you said on this broadcast that you think he's a racist, and you don't think, or you don't have an idea, or you want to leave it to the victims, who a lot of victims are confused, me included, about racism, up to our opinion. But then you want to try to humanize this murderer, coward, as you put it. You want to humanize them by giving them some kind of make-believe spouse or make-believe love interest. But that was just a high form of racism, in my opinion. Yeah, so that's some of my final comments on the subject. Thank you again for taking my call, Gus.
Much obliged, Victim Cubed. I had to ponder on that. Like, if you're gonna sacrifice your life or do something potentially lethal, procreate first. Like, what a signal. And see, because he did not, that's in the trial transcript apparently. It's in Andrew Gumbel's book as well, that McVeigh had an affair with Terry Nichols' non-white wife. That could have been portrayed. They didn't want to have sex with this, sexual activity with this blonde white woman. Virgin McVeigh is what they see the white people in the name call him. That's what they called him in grit. That could have been Ted Kaczynski. I don't know. Call it him Virgin McVeigh. Man. Anyway, the not answering of questions, I think many people caught that. That is standard operating procedure for people classified as white, especially when non-white people are doing our job, being serious, working to solve this problem, asking questions in a serious manner, questioning white people, not sitting around squabbling and bickering with other victims of racism. Whew. Great job not getting lost in all the deflecting. I'm the only one who's seen this film, I'm suspecting. Is that true? That's what I thought. I didn't hear any. That's what I thought. Okay. Yeah, I still thought, even with it, like, I thought the order was very constructive. If I had to pick out what are quick, because that might be two films that I'm the only one that's seen. The difference, one, the Turner Diaries is pretty prominent in the order. I can see the logic of saying I don't want to promote a book, but that book is already so well known and widespread. Like, I don't know. I almost think it's more important just to point out truthfully that this book was a major influence and a part of the terrorism that unfolded, even killing other white people. I tend to think that's important, but what else is the difference? There is sexual activity in the order, but it is exactly what he just said. Victim Cube said, this is sex about maintaining the system of white supremacy racism. We got to have next generation of race soldiers. That is stated explicitly in the order around the sexual activity. This is not just effing around for the sake of it. What else? It just seems like a much more accurate depiction of what, now I mean, it's fictional. That's not a documentary either, but man, it seems a lot more accurate. There are not points where I'm saying, why did they leave this out, or why did they put this fictional component in? They're just that there's nothing that I can recall in that film that I've seen a number of times at this point, and I saw that film on the big screen at the festival. There's nothing that I can recall where it's like, oh, they humanized these race soldiers and made them seem cool, and there's none of that. They are outside. You see birthday parties, and even at the birthday parties, they got the swastika, which does happen in this film too, but it's just not the same. It's not the same at all. Like, I'd have to think, I might even have to write out, because I've seen both these films like 5 times. So what is the difference as to why this one is and that one is a little bit, I guess the carnage too. The carnage is there. This film is just all like the order. If I was going to remake that film like this, you'd have to take out all the bank robberies because they don't show the violence. They just show the lead up to. So you just be showing the lead up to how they got to this in the order, and then throwing in some now you got to put in the, what is all this about? What is all this for? Like, okay, we are not trying to humanize, and because you can do what he said, like you can explore this person's character and how they got to be this way, and what what's interesting about it. I think all that happens in the order in a much more skillful way, where I would even say you get a better grasp of what it means to be white. Much better grasp from the role of white women, the role of, because this film is very isolated. It's called McVeigh. That film, The Order, is Bob Matthews and the whole constellation of white people that brought about all these bank robberies and killing and gunning down white people in the street. And the Turner, it's just a lot more detailed. It's a lot more detailed. I think it's a lot more accurate. You get a much better grasp of what it means to be white in the order. I might be homering too, because this is Washington State Race Soldier, so I might be doing some homering too. But either way, I think that is a much better film about almost the same period of time, almost the same people too, because there's a lot of overlap there. I think that's a much better film. like not even close. I'd probably give me a day or two and I'll try and clear. Maybe I'll even write something like, what is the difference between these two very similar films that are both fictional? Why is this one so much better than the other one? And white people, may be important to note now, even though I'm saying that this McVeigh film is not very good, white people didn't make it readily available. Or The Order, which I did think was very good. And even that, I'm so stupid, I had to have a cow's listener tell me, Gus, I know you don't like talking about TV, but you know, The Order didn't even go to the theater in Washington. I said, what? What? What do you mean? Jude Law and oh my God, it got a standing ovation in Italy. The white woman talked to me about that movie on the plane when I was flying to LA. What do you mean? It didn't. That's Washington state history. What do you mean it didn't come to the theater here? It didn't come to the theater. That gave me pause as well. Like, I said, dang, I had to go to LA to see that in the theater? Yee. Everybody can't afford to go to LA, and then they might have wildfires. Be here on Thursday early, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Pacific, neutralizing workplace racism. I would have to say I still feel like I learned quite a bit. Like, I didn't think I would have been way more excited if we were talking to the folks with The Order, and I missed the Q&A on that film in LA because soundtrack to Coup d'etat, that was playing immediately. And I mean immediately when The Order finished. I didn't have time to do nothing. I couldn't go to the bathroom, grab popcorn. I had to grab. I was running by the seat of my pants to get to the theater. So if it had been set up like the Seattle Film Festival, where they have the movies spread out across the city in different theaters, I would have had to pick. I could have seen one or the other, not both. Thank God it wasn't in Seattle. Sobriety would be best. I was saying, I still think for a film that I didn't think was very constructive, and even guests who we thought weren't very serious and weren't sharing, I still feel like I learned quite a bit about what it means to be white, because that entails a lot. And in fact, even from the very beginning, Russia and the known universe, that is so important. It is a global system of white supremacy racism that needs to be locked in. We're not, when you're talking about white supremacy racism and what it means to be classified as white, it ain't no American whites, North American whites, European whites. White stands alone. White people know what that means all over the known universe. All that giggling, we didn't hear no, Brother Gus T, you and all your black brothers and sisters, y'all just come on over here to Siberia. We got all the wood and warm clothing you need. Come on over here. You don't have to worry about your Negro problem. No, we didn't hear that at all. And in fact, even for the known universe, our white brother, Mr. Ott, didn't tell us, get Brother Elon to hook you up on the space station. Y'all get up there on Mars and won't have no more Negro problems. We didn't hear that either. Known universe. And what we just said, 764, that's not just in the States where that fan fiction and sitting around, I don't even know what you call it, being entertained by, bragging about race soldiers, Peyton Gendron, Tim McVeigh, Jeff Dahmer, all of the rest of Eric Rudolph, because they probably got something for him too, Columbine. That's all over the known universe. We talked to white people, they didn't even live in this hemisphere. And they talked about the same thing. White fan fiction for white killer. And they even said white mass killers go out and kill 160 people in one snap. Bang. And then see how we can do it even better. Let's see if we can kill 500 next time. What does it mean to be white? We will be back. It's April. That should be what, like April. Make time for Oklahoma City. Pick up a book. Read one. Maybe there'll be some new books to come out. Read a little bit about what happened to Tim McVeigh. Do some studying. If you have children, that's an event. I said that should be like 9/11 or whatever. Like if you have children or whatever, that's one. What was I doing when that happened? Did I grasp the magnitude? Because you can even say that too, because I'd be in that number. I was a child just like Irie. I didn't even grasp the magnitude. Like what? Turner diary? What? Who? Can we get back to OJ? Because for real, that'd be a lot of us. Like they did what in Oklahoma City? For real? Okay, let's get back to OJ. The Juice. You know the Juice didn't kill that white woman. You know he didn't kill that white woman. That would be the truth of the matter in terms of, real talk, what was happening in 1995. Any hoodles, we will be here Thursday. Hopefully, constructive investment of your Tuesday evening. No April Fools, right? We were on our counter-racist assignment. No April Fools here. That said, Creator, help us. We talked about wasting time. Man, help us maximize our time and energy to replace white supremacy with justice immediately. Help me to stop wasting non-white people's time and energy, including my own, because Tim McVeigh might have a package waiting at my doorstep. I do not know how much time I'm going to have to get this problem solved. Minimize contact, minimize conflict, stop name calling black people, let white people do all the name calling. I think the caller mentioned all the vulgarity. Let that be white people, libtard and cursing and filth flooring and Sioux Africa. That's individuals classified as white. We are trying to be universal woman, universal man. That's why we don't do no name calling of black people. Stop being discourteous to black people. Stop gossiping. Stop producing throwaway offspring. Put that on Elijah, Aaron, Coverdale, 5 and 2 years old respectively, murdered by the cowardly race soldier Tim McVeigh, Virgin McVeigh, Noodle McVeigh, master name callers affectionately labeled him. Cal signing out. Thanks all for tuning in.
Nigga, you so brainwashed. I'm a victim, brother. Problem. You're a victim. Yeah. I'm a victim of 400 years of conditioning. Shut up. The man has programmed my conditioning. Mm-hmm. Even my conditioning has been conditioned.